How did you ever do it? I can't see how anyone could do a thing like that. We were standing in a small, dusty curio shop tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. The room smelled faintly of wood varnish and old paper. On the central table lay an entire army of little handcrafted figures, animals, soldiers, women in flowing dresses, men with walking sticks, children playing games, and even miniature scenes carved out of ivory and soft stone. Each piece carried a spirit of care, a soul of detail, and a heartbeat of discipline. You could almost feel the passion whittled into the smooth surfaces and delicate edges. I turned to my friend. His face was a mixture of awe and confusion. Looking at the sculptures, he shook his head again and said, "How did you ever do it?" The man behind the counter, an older man, lean with steady eyes and calloused hands, smiled with the kind of warmth that only comes from honest labor. He lifted his eyes slowly, looked at us, and replied with 3 simple, quiet words, "I just kept at it." That was all he said. We left the store soon after. But as I walked down the street, those 3 words began to echo in my mind. They followed me like a drumbeat. Kept at it, kept at it, kept at it. I couldn't shake it. The simplicity of his answer struck me deeper than any motivational book or fiery speech. He had just kept at it. And because he did, he had created something beautiful, something real. Something people from all over came to see, admire, and perhaps buy. He had trained his hands, disciplined his mind, honed his craft, and carved his dreams out of lifeless wood, stubborn stone, and brittle ivory. That man was not some overnight genius. He wasn't born with a chisel in his hand or talent dripping from his fingers. What he had was persistence, dogged, unwavering persistence. He had committed to the process, even when the results were slow, even when nobody watched, even when the days felt long and the progress invisible. He had kept at it, and that made all the difference. That phrase stayed with me. It stirred something within. It reminded me of the potential that lies buried in ordinary people like you and me. The world loves to talk about talent, luck, and shortcuts, but true success, lasting excellence, that's carved in the quiet places, built brick by brick through the discipline of keeping at it. I once heard a young girl play the piano at a small community concert. She couldn't have been older than 16. But the way her fingers danced over the keys, the emotion in each note, the control and fluidity, anyone with ears could tell that this was no casual hobby. This was dedication in full bloom. Now, I know something about music. We had a music department in our institution for many years. I've seen talent, and I've seen skill, and I can tell the difference. As she played, I couldn't help but look into her face. She was calm, focused, almost lost in the rhythm of what she was doing. I leaned back in my seat and whispered in my heart, "Girl," while other girls were walking the streets, laughing and chatting away their hours. "You were pounding those keys, while others were still in bed grumbling as their mothers tried to wake them up. You were at the piano practicing arpeggios and scales." She had missed parties. She had lost what many would call fun. She had traded spontaneous hangouts for structured practice. But in that moment, standing ovation echoing through the hall, I knew she kept at it, and that's why she won. Success is rarely glamorous in its making. It is formed in the daily grind, in the little decisions, in saying yes to purpose and no to convenience. It is born in early mornings, late nights, aching muscles, and weary minds. It is forged in seasons of doubt where the only thing keeping you going is the quiet vow you made to yourself. I remember another man, this one a farmer in northern Maine. We stood together overlooking a sprawling field of green, well-tended land stretching as far as the eye could see. Corn danced in the breeze, and cattle grazed quietly nearby. I asked, "Who cleared this land? Who stumped it?" He turned to me, pointed down to a small log house by the creek, and said, "I did. My wife and I built that house. When we first moved in, not a single acre of this land had been cleared. I made a vow I would clear every acre and make it fruitful, and I have done it. That is the spirit that conquers. Not talk, not fancy dreams, but action, a vow, a commitment, a simple resolve. I will do it. He did not wait for perfect conditions. He did not blame the stones in the soil, the hardness of the ground, the lack of help. He didn't make excuses. He made progress. He kept at it, and he won. I see this same spirit in every success story I've known. It has nothing to do with background or privilege. It has everything to do with persistence. I stood beside a factory loom as a young boy and made my own vow. At that time, I didn't know what educator meant in full, but I felt it deep in my bones. I knew there was something in me that wanted to teach, to guide, to uplift. I was poor, I was under-resourced, I was handicapped in ways few people knew or understood. But I made a promise to myself, I will become an educator. And I did, not because the way was smooth, not because I had the best tools, but because I kept at it. And now I pass this truth on to you. They cannot conquer you if you refuse to give up. Your struggle to improve, your fight to develop, your decision to rise above your circumstances, it all counts. Every step, every stumble, every small win, it's all part of the journey. Every time you play that piece on the piano, play it better than you did yesterday. Don't settle for familiarity. Don't be content with good enough. Every time you sit at that typewriter, every time you write that report, every time you face that classroom or climb into that cab, make it your aim to do it better, cleaner, stronger. Train your brain. It may resist, it may sweat, but push it, feed it, stretch it, and soon you'll be a marvel even to yourself. Growth doesn't come from ease, it comes from effort. Don't depend on the alarm clock. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's time to rise. Wake up with purpose. Let your passion serve as your morning bell. Don't wait for someone else to lend you their car. Go get your own. Build something that is yours. Be self-reliant. Be responsible. Be diligent. Show up on time. Think deeply. Don't panic at problems. Solve them. Let every difficulty you face become part of the day's job. Learn from it, master it, dominate it. The world may be harsh. The road may be long, but don't ever stop. Don't be fooled by those who try to sell shortcuts. Lasting greatness has no elevator, it has stairs. And every step matters. You want to be a better writer. Keep writing. Want to grow business? Keep building. Want to change lives? Keep serving. Want to walk in divine purpose? Keep praying. Keep learning, keep becoming. I've seen ordinary people do extraordinary things simply because they stayed with it longer than everyone else. They outlasted doubt. They overcame discouragement. They worked when others slept. They prayed when others partied. They studied when others scrolled. They sweated when others joked. They kept at it. And that's the secret. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. But if you can stay consistent, if you can keep showing up, keep working, keep believing, you'll reach heights that talent alone could never take you. You will fail. Yes, sometimes you will. You'll stumble, lose motivation, even want to quit. But don't. Catch your breath, wipe your tears, and keep at it. Because those who refuse to quit win. We are out in the fight. The world is watching. Our future is waiting. And if we don't give up, we will wear the crown. There is a gold mine hidden in every life. Nature never made a failure. Every man has success hidden away in his soul. No one else can find it but himself. He holds the key to the hidden room. Failure comes because we never sought that hidden treasure. Failure comes because we tried to find it somewhere else. You can't find it anywhere else. Success, victory, achievement are in you. The exceptional people are those who develop what is within them. That quartet is winning fame and success because they developed what they had in them. Singly they could not do it, but united they make a harmony that thrills the heart. The soloist had it in her. It was there and she developed it and made it of commercial value. I have seen three great baritones. One was a miner who, had he not been too lazy and loved the companionship of drinking men and useless women, would have been known the world over. What a voice he had! I picked him up a drunkard. I tried to make a man of him. I bought him clothes. When it was known that Scotty was going to sing, the building could not hold the crowd. I said to him, I don't know whether my pianist can play the pieces that you want to sing without looking them over. He looked at me with a peculiar expression and said, I need no accompaniment. He stood by the piano that first night in his old mining clothes and sang. I closed my eyes and I couldn't locate him because his voice utterly filled that whole room. He seemed to be everywhere in it. That great voice was strange, sweet, wonderful music. He made the songs all over that he sang that night. I raised the money and sent him back to his own land. He promised to sing again. As a boy he sang in Drury, but he confessed he was so drunk it took a man to hold him up. But he never amounted to anything. He did not develop the thing that was in him. Genius has grown up to weeds about it, just because they did not develop the thing they had. I know it is hard work, but you will learn to love hard work. There are no great gold nuggets lying on top of the earth now. You have to go down into the earth for them. You must dig for them. You want the applause of the world. You want money to buy fine clothes and build splendid houses. Awaken, young men. Go find that hidden place in your own nature. Dig and dig until you have conquered. A father was dying. He had two sons. The boys had always felt that he had gold, that he had hidden away somewhere. He had never been a strong, healthy man, so his farm was not developed. Back of the house there was 10 acres of stump land. When he was dying he said, the stump lot. Again and again he said, the stump lot. As soon as the funeral was over, the boys said, the gold is out in the stump lot. How feverishly they worked. They tore up every inch of it, but they found no gold. Then the older one said, we have the land in good condition. Let's put in corn. In the autumn they found in the ripened corn the gold. You have a stump lot and you dig it up, clean it up, and you will find the gold in it. You may not feel like a gold mine now. You may feel like a piece of waste ground full of stumps, rocks, and weeds, but that is exactly where the gold is hidden. The treasure is never lying in the open. Life doesn't give its richest rewards to the lazy or the casual. You must search, you must cultivate, you must endure. The man who sits and waits for success to find him will wait until the weeds take over his life and choke the dreams he never pursued. Many men and women fail not because they lack talent, but because they never believed they had it in the first place. They listened to voices that told them they were average, that nothing special could come from them. But nature never made a failure. You are not the exception to the design. If you were born with potential. No one is excluded. The world may have overlooked you. Teachers may have passed you by. Friends may have doubted you. But inside of you is a greatness that can only be awakened by your own determination. You must become the excavator of your destiny. You must become the laborer on the field of your own soul. No one else can dig for you. Others may encourage, they may offer tools, but the labor belongs to you. Your stump lot may be your attitude, your laziness, your fears, or your procrastination. It may be your lack of vision or your obsession with ease. But if you will pick up the tools of courage, faith, and consistency, and dig through those stumps, clear out those rocks, and level that land, you will plant something that grows. You will harvest something that lasts. You will look back and see that the gold was never somewhere out there, it was always in you. The man with the farm had a choice. He could have resented his father's final words. He could have waited for something to magically happen. But he took the broken land and broke himself to make it better, and it paid off. You can complain about your stump lot. You can envy the fields of others, or you can get to work on yours. There are books inside you, songs inside you, businesses, Ministries, dreams, inventions, solutions, and movements inside you, but they are trapped beneath the stumps. Don't be like the baritone who wasted his gift. Don't die with your treasure buried inside you. Don't be the one who had it but never used it. Don't let fear of failure keep you from even trying. You must dig. You must labor. You must believe that what is in you is enough to build a life worth living. You were not meant for mediocrity. You were not meant to simply get by. You were designed to develop, to build, to create, to shine. You don't need to be someone else. You don't need to wish for another man's gift. You need to develop yours. You need to discover that what is in you is more than enough when you partner with diligence. The world does not reward potential, it rewards production. But all production starts with the belief that what's within is worth developing. Don't get discouraged when it feels like nothing is happening. Corn doesn't sprout the day you plant it. Gold doesn't shine until it's refined. Your effort is not in vain. Your early mornings, your quiet sacrifices, your lonely practice sessions, your nights of study, your hours of effort, they will yield fruit. The gold is coming, but only if you dig, only if you refuse to quit, only if you believe what nature already believes, that you are not a failure. You are a mine waiting to be discovered. So dig, keep digging, find the gold. What value do you place on yourself? Have you ever taken a real, honest inventory of your life, of your abilities, of your words, or have you simply walked through life making statements that sound bold but are never backed by action? You may have said at one point, "I know I could have done better," or "I believe I could sing better than that person performing on stage." Or maybe you thought to yourself, "I could build a successful business if I wanted to," or "I could be a leader, a pioneer, an innovator, a change maker if only I had the time, if only I had the resources." But are you going to be what you could be, or are you just going to keep saying that you could be something without ever becoming it? Honestly, what is your worth in your own eyes? Have you placed a real value on yourself? Not the value others see, but the one you see when you're alone and looking into your own soul. Have you ever sat down and said, "This is what I'm worth," not in terms of money, but in terms of integrity, commitment, faithfulness to my own words, in terms of what I bring to the world and how far I'm willing to go to unlock what's inside of me? Have you set a price on your time, your words, your promises, your energy? What is your word worth to you, not to the world, but to yourself? When you declare, "I will finish that course," or "I will master that craft," or "I will overcome that habit," does your word hold weight, or do you casually dismiss it when no one is watching? Is your promise to yourself stronger than your need for comfort, entertainment, or approval from others? Pride might make you keep your word to others, but do you keep your word with yourself? Can you say with confidence that your word, when spoken in the quiet of your own mind, is law in your life? That you obey yourself, that you respect yourself enough to follow through when no one's looking, when there's no applause, when there's no reward but self-respect. You are too valuable to betray yourself, too valuable to trade the sacredness of your own promise for a fleeting pleasure, for an hour of laziness, for an excuse that won't matter in the grand scheme of your life. You are likely worth more to yourself than to anyone else, because you are the one who must live with your choices, your habits, your fulfilled or broken promises. But a year from now, could you make yourself so valuable through consistent growth and discipline that people, organizations, and opportunities would recognize your worth and offer you what you never imagined possible? There are corporations and institutions desperately searching for people who are worth $50,000 a year, or $100,000 or more, not just because of credentials, but because of rare qualities: commitment, integrity, deep skill, and self-respect. Set your mark high, not because others told you to, but because you finally believe that you were created for more, and it's your job to prove yourself to yourself. Don't settle for average. Don't let mediocrity become your identity. Rise above by rising within. Don't let any day pass without gaining something: an inch of wisdom, a new skill, a better response to frustration, a clearer sense of purpose. Take regular inventory of your life, not just your physical assets or your job title, but your mind, your spirit, your word, your discipline, your honesty with yourself. Ask, am I more valuable today than I was a year ago? Not in money, but in self-leadership, in reliability, in usefulness to the world. Find the core of your ability, the real gold within you, and pour yourself into it. Make it sharp, make it useful, make it unmistakably powerful. Let it be the vehicle through which you deliver value to your world. And remember, what you have secretly hungered for all your life, the longing to create, to lead, to sing, to build, to influence, to heal, to teach, to shine, was never an accident. It was not a fantasy or a foolish dream. It was a clue, a divine whisper pointing you toward your assignment. That hunger was placed there for a reason. It is the evidence of ability waiting for activation. But it will never come alive unless you believe it enough to act, unless you make your word law, unless you keep promises to yourself when the excitement fades, unless you grind when no one claps, unless you fight the war of discipline and win. What value do you place on yourself? Have you begun to realize that you are your most important asset, that your future depends not on luck, not on your background, not even on your talent, but on your ability to stay true to your word and grow your gift daily? Have you decided that mediocrity is not your destiny, and you will not settle? Every day you delay, you lower the value of your future. Every time you break your own word, you weaken the trust you have in yourself. But every time you keep it, every time you do the hard thing, every time you show up, you raise your value not just to others, but to your own heart. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with a vision, a mission, an impact. You become a leader, not by title but by example. You become proof that greatness is not for the lucky, but for the determined. What is your word worth to you? What will your life be worth a year from now? A decade from now, not in net worth, but in self-worth. Decide today to increase your value. Refuse to waste your potential. Refuse to speak words you don't intend to honor. Refuse to look in the mirror and see untapped brilliance wasted by laziness. You can become anyone you are willing to work for. You can achieve anything your character is prepared to sustain. But it starts now, with one honest promise to yourself, and then another, and another, until you are so reliable, so skilled, so trustworthy, so sharp, that life cannot ignore you. You will no longer chase value, you will become value. That's the power of your word. That's the measure of your worth. That's the kind of person who can change their life, and maybe even the world. Modern preaching has produced the modern spiritual failure that we see in the church. Failures are not ready-made. They are the product of the teaching that we have had or the absence of the right teaching. I am convinced that most people will come to the level of the Father's purpose if they know how. The spiritual failure I am talking about is one who is born of God, but who has never developed, who has remained in an infant state through many years because of malnutrition. They feed upon the theories of men rather than upon the Word of God. They have lived in the realm of sense knowledge rather than in the realm of the Word of God. They are ever praying for faith, not realizing that all things belong to them, that He has blessed them with every spiritual blessing in the heavenlies in Christ, and that at the very beginning God marked us out for the position of sons and daughters through Jesus Christ unto Himself. The purpose of the Father was healthy, vigorous children. Can you conceive of an intelligent earthly parent that wishes to give birth to children that will be sickly, half-witted, deformed creatures? Why? The thing doesn't sound reasonable. And do you think the Heavenly Father takes pleasure in having us sick, mentally, physically, and spiritually? Do you think Jesus likes to contemplate the number of Christians that are in hospitals, undergoing hideous operations, and going through the torture of the damned? The answer is a resounding no. It grieves the heart of God when His people live in spiritual infancy, when their lives do not reflect the fullness of Christ's redemptive work. Yet the problem is not God. The problem is not the finished work of Christ. The problem lies in our understanding and acceptance of the truth. It lies in the fact that so many of us have not been fed with the meat of the Word but have been given milk diluted by human philosophy, psychology, and motivational platitudes. We have learned how to be religious, not how to walk in the Spirit. We have learned how to observe rituals and attend programs, but not how to exercise dominion, authority, and spiritual discernment. We have been taught to beg from God what He has already made available in Christ. We cry for revival while neglecting the life that Christ already placed in us. We pray for power but fail to realize that the Holy Spirit, who is the very power of God, dwells in us. The modern spiritual failure is the one who shouts in church but cannot walk in love. They tithe and sow seeds but cannot live in victory because their inner man has not been built. They have been given formulas instead of faith, slogans instead of scripture, and hype instead of holiness. And so they fail not because they were destined to fail, but because they were malnourished, mistaught, and misled. But God never designed the new birth to produce weaklings. His plan was never for His children to grope in darkness, begging and pleading for what they already possess. He sent Jesus to restore what Adam lost: sonship, authority, identity, and fellowship. And yet today, many Christians live like spiritual orphans. They are full of fear, confusion, and defeat. They have the Holy Spirit within but live as though they are alone. They have the promises of God in their Bible but live as though the Word is a mystery. And why is this so? It is because of the lack of accurate teaching, the absence of sound doctrine, and the neglect of true spiritual discipline. The church has entertained people instead of equipping them. Leaders have often preferred popularity over purpose, charisma over character, and emotionalism over truth. We have elevated personalities instead of pointing people to the person of Christ. The results are clear: a spiritually immature generation tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, unsure of their identity, unable to withstand temptation, unfit for battle, and unequipped for dominion. And yet, this is not what Christ died for. He died to produce sons, not slaves. He died to produce victors, not victims. He died to bring us back to the Father, not to establish another religion. And herein lies the tragedy. We have spiritual birth without spiritual growth. We have members, but not disciples. We have excitement, but not endurance. We shout about miracles, but fail to live out obedience. And all of this is the consequence of a system that has traded truth for trends, sound teaching for sensationalism, and depth for decoration. But there is a remnant rising. There is a people waking up to the call of true spiritual maturity. They are not content to remain spiritual infants. They hunger for the Word. They pursue intimacy with God. They are tired of theatrics and want transformation. They are willing to unlearn error and relearn truth. They are ready to dig deep, to cultivate their inner life, to embrace discipline, to grow up into Christ in all things. They are discovering that they are already blessed, already accepted, already chosen, already empowered. They are not chasing shadows. They are walking in sonship. They understand that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God, not by emotional high or ritualistic behavior. They are rising above the noise of modern preaching and seeking the voice of the Good Shepherd. And in doing so, they are becoming what the Father always intended: mature sons and daughters who reflect His glory, who carry His presence, who live by His wisdom. They are overcoming spiritual failure not by striving but by aligning with truth. They are breaking the cycles of defeat not by shouting louder but by building stronger foundations. They are no longer blaming their pastors, their parents, or their past. They are taking responsibility for their own growth. They know that spiritual maturity is not a gift, it is a journey. And they are willing to walk that journey, step by step, day by day. They are making time for the Word, for prayer, for silence, for reflection, for obedience. They are learning to live by the Spirit and not by the flesh. They are crucifying the old man and putting on the new. They are choosing integrity over impression, character over charisma, truth over tradition. And in doing so, they are fulfilling the Father's dream. Because God's desire has always been to raise a family that knows Him, loves Him, and represents Him. Not just people who sing about Him, but those who live like Him. Not just those who pray for things, but those who manifest His kingdom. And it begins with teaching. It begins with the right foundation. If the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The answer is clear. We must rebuild the foundations. We must return to the apostles' doctrine, to the word that builds faith, renews the mind, and trains the heart. We must move from spiritual entertainment to spiritual edification. We must stop creating celebrities in pulpits and start raising up servants in the pews. We must stop measuring success by crowd size and start measuring it by Christ-likeness. We must stop seeking spiritual experiences and start cultivating spiritual depth. Only then will we see the kind of believers that turn the world upside down. Only then will we see Christians who are unshakable, unstoppable, and unmovable. Only then will we see the church become what it was meant to be, the pillar and ground of truth, the bride without spot or wrinkle, the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And it all begins when we confront the reality of spiritual failure and choose a better path, not one of blame, but one of growth. Not one of emotion, but one of transformation. Not one of mere activity, but of abiding. Because only then can the world see Christ in us, the hope of glory. I did not believe this once. I thought that there were but a few who had real ability, and that the rest of us belonged to the mob. I venture to say that it will be almost impossible to pick out a single person in any large establishment who does not have the ability along some line that could make him outstanding if it were developed. I am dictating this little article for the ambitious man or woman, not for the man who is too lazy to develop what is in him, but for the man who is unsatisfied with anything but the best. As I study men and women, I am convinced of this. There are very few who have developed to the limit the possibilities within them. There is no overdevelopment. Many people are in the wrong place in life. They have no gift for the thing they are trying to do. They are doing it simply to get by. There is room and a salary waiting for the man who has ability and is willing to put hard work into it. Choose your work rather than have the work in which you have no interest thrust upon you. Find out what you can do, what you like best to do. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your handicaps are. They have never made a handicap that could hold any man down who had in him the yeast to rise. Most of the people who are at the bottom because they will to stay there. That is where they belong. It is a hard thing to say, but it is true. I am now what I willed to be through all these years. The first thing to do is to find out what you want. Set your eyes on the goal, then fight for it. There must be an objective. When you find that objective, set your compass and sail for that star. Do not stop until you reach it. That is the mark of a winner. That is the attitude that creates success. Most people do not fail because they don't have potential. They fail because they never bothered to ignite it. Talent unused is like a seed never sown. It holds potential, but never multiplies. Life responds to effort, not wishful thinking. Wishers wait, workers win. Every man who has achieved anything worth remembering began as a dreamer, but he did not remain in the realm of dreams. He brought his dreams into the crucible of labor, patience, trial, rejection, and persistence. The man who decides to stay at the bottom because it's comfortable or familiar has traded glory for mediocrity. And though the world may excuse it, time will not. The clock never lies. It records effort, not excuses. That's why the question is not what you were born with, but what you're willing to become. Will you rise above your comfort? Will you outgrow your excuses? Will you finally realize that your ceiling is self-imposed and your limits are negotiable? There are no permanent limitations except the ones we accept. You may not be the strongest, but you can be the most determined. You may not be the fastest, but you can outlast others with consistency. Greatness is not given. It is carved out through discipline and fierce intention. Every gift within you is like buried treasure. It will not surface until you dig with focus. Digging is painful, tiring, and sometimes lonely. But the man who refuses to dig has no right to complain about being broke, unknown, or unused. The greatness within you is not waiting for external validation. It is waiting for your permission to grow. When you refuse to act, your talent rusts. When you delay your purpose, someone else suffers the absence of what you were meant to offer. The world doesn't need another passive spectator. It needs a bold contributor. You were not made to merely pass time. You were made to press through, to leave marks, to affect destinies. You are not the sum of your limitations. You are the expression of your decisions. Your will is stronger than your weakness. Your focus can outlive your failures. Every time you say yes to discipline, you defeat the voice of delay. Every time you choose growth over ease, you are saying to yourself, I refuse to be average. Average is overcrowded. Excellence is available, but it's not cheap. It requires commitment, not convenience. If you keep waiting for the right time, you will wait forever. There is no perfect moment, only a willing heart and a decisive step. You may stumble, yes, you may fall. But falling is not the end. Refusing to rise again is. Winners bleed, but they don't break. Champions cry, but they don't quit. The people you admire were once invisible. They rose not by magic but by mastering moments of mundane discipline. That is where transformation begins, in small repeated choices. Choose to grow even when it's uncomfortable. Choose to practice even when applause is absent. Choose to show up even when no one notices. What you consistently do, you eventually become. If you sow hard work, you will reap distinction. If you sow excuses, you will reap regret. Which one do you want? Life is short, but purpose is eternal. You were not made for fear, for sleepwalking, or for settling. There is something inside of you that the world needs. It might be dormant, but it is not dead. Wake it up, train it, speak to it, feed it. Starve your fears and nourish your potential. The man who refuses to grow is choosing to die slowly. But the one who says, I will not leave this earth without maximizing what I was given, that is the man who lives truly. Decide today, not tomorrow, not someday, now. What is it that you would do if you knew you couldn't fail? Do that thing. What would you learn if you believed your mind could stretch? Learn it. What skill would you master if you stopped saying, I'm too old, too busy, too behind? Master it. Your best season begins the moment you begin. The moment you stop overthinking and start moving. The future doesn't belong to the passive. It belongs to the intentional. It belongs to those who take full responsibility for their lives and give themselves fully to their mission. Don't let another year pass you by without seeing evidence of your development. Don't just age evolve. Don't just dream do. Stop waiting for motivation and start working from decision. Work is what produces clarity. Action is what gives birth to confidence. The man who waits to feel ready will be left behind by those who felt fear and still took the step. Do not let fear parent your decisions. Let vision lead you. Let purpose hold your hand. Let hunger drive your day. One step at a time. One discipline at a time. One lesson at a time. It all adds up. Before you know it, you'll look back and see a trail of growth that surprises even you. Don't measure your worth by comparison. Measure it by the courage to become. That's all that matters. You will not reach your goal in one day, but you can destroy delay today. Begin. Keep going. Let nothing stop you, not opinions, not failure, not fatigue. There is more in you. So much more. If only I could repeat it over and over again so that, wherever you turned your eyes, would see this one fact. You have within you all of the qualities and elements that are necessary to make you a success. Your chief work is the development of the thing that nature has already given you. Before you go to the office, create all around you and in you an atmosphere of victory. You go out with the consciousness that you have victory. You and the unseen one are going down to the office together, and you are going to put it over. You are going out after that job with the smile of a victor, not the smile of a man who is trying to smile, but the man who smiles in spite of himself. Cultivate the habit of thorough work. If it is mental work, think every problem through. Be the one man in that office where you work who thinks through on every problem that comes up. You will find that the boss will want you. Very few men have the ability to think through. They guess, they speculate, they theorize. But down yonder behind the desk is the man who takes the problem and resolutely drives himself to think through that problem from every angle. The boss can get men to do what he tells them to do. He is looking for one with ability to tell the others how to do it. So set the standard high for yourself. Have a lofty spiritual ideal, climb to it. Between you and it there may be many a swamp through which a road must be made. Lumbermen always build roads to the timber they wish to market. You will have to build a road to market your abilities. There is pain and fatigue ahead for you, but you dress for the job. Remember to associate with people who have won, those who help you climb to the top. Don't hang around with a group of has-beens. Associate with the men who are climbing up. The idle, gossiping people will not help you. The lazy and careless will stand in your way. Those who spend their nights in the roadhouse or at the gambling hall will never help you. Don't think you can get something for nothing. Put your money where it will count. Put your time where it will pay you dividends. This battle is not for the thoughtless, heedless guesser or idealistic dreamer. It is for the man who works. Work not with the energy of a robot, but with the intensity of a man who sees the outcome before the first stroke is made. You must think of yourself as a co-creator with God, a partner in the unfolding of your destiny, responsible not only for the task before you, but for the sharpening of your own inner tools. Sharpen your thinking, hone your will, discipline your emotions, cultivate clarity in your speech. Make sure that your actions are deliberate, not random. When you speak, speak with purpose. When you act, act with courage. Never do things half-heartedly. Half-hearted men get half-hearted results. The world is moved by the man who moves himself first, the man who steps out of the fog of indecision and plants his feet firmly on the rock of conviction. That man commands attention. He may not be loud, but he will be noticed. He may not be aggressive, but his presence will carry weight. Be that man. Don't wait to be inspired. Discipline yourself to rise and take action. Develop routines that anchor your progress. Build habits that turn dreams into achievements. Understand that success is not a thunderclap in the sky. It is the slow-burning fire that never goes out. Feed that fire daily. Read the right books. Think the right thoughts. Speak with faith in your voice and purpose in your soul. Stop complaining. No man ever rose on the wings of complaint. Stop comparing. You are not running someone else's race. Stop doubting. If you were not capable, the idea would never have come to you. If you were not equipped, the dream would not be in your heart. So dig into the ground you have. Cultivate it, water it, pull out the weeds of excuses. Uproot the thorns of fear. Pour in the nutrients of discipline, learning, courage, and wisdom, then watch it grow, and when it grows, tend to it with the same diligence. Do not despise small beginnings, because every mighty tree began with a tiny, almost invisible seed. So value your beginnings, value your effort, value your struggle. That struggle is making you. That tension is strengthening you. That delay is training you. That rejection is preparing you. Each setback is a lesson. Each failure is a brick. Each tear is water for your roots. And every morning you wake up and choose to try again, you are advancing more than most will ever know. So walk with that awareness. Breathe it. Let it shape your walk, your handshake, your decisions. Don't let the mood of the day control you. Let the mission of your life control your day. You're not a thermometer reacting to your environment. You're a thermostat setting the tone. Let people feel your conviction, not your confusion. Let them sense your hope, not your hesitation. Show up like a man who has already seen the outcome in his spirit and is simply walking it out. Show up even when you don't feel like it. Consistency beats excitement. Vision beats noise. You don't have to shop to change your world. Just be faithful. Just keep showing up. Just keep building. Be like the builder who lays one brick at a time, knowing that though today may look unimpressive, the cathedral will rise if he just doesn't stop. And as you build, remember to help others too. Lift someone, encourage someone, speak life into someone's weary soul. It will come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Let kindness be your signature. Let excellence be your brand. Let diligence be your legacy, because at the end, the reward is not just in what you built, but in who you became while building. You became the man who never gave up, the man who chose courage when fear was easier, the man who turned rejection into redirection, the man who was known not for his talents, but for his tenacity. And that kind of man cannot be defeated. He may fall, but he rises. He may be struck down, but he is never destroyed. Why? Because he has built his house upon the rock. And when the storms come and he will not crumble. While others panic, he will plan. While others give up, he will grind. While others seek comfort, he will seek growth. And in time, that man stands above the rest, not because he was the smartest or the fastest, but because he was the most faithful. So let this be your motto. I will be faithful, faithful in little, faithful in much, faithful when it's easy, faithful when it hurts, faithful when no one sees, faithful when everyone is watching, faithful when praised, and faithful when criticized. This kind of faithfulness is not ordinary. It is rare. And it is rewarded not always immediately, but always eventually. So stay with it. Stay with your dream. Stay with your vision. Stay with your work. Stay with your growth. Refuse to let go of the thing you were born to do. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You need courage. You don't need a guarantee. You need grit. You don't need applause. You need an inner yes. Say yes to the process. Say yes to the climb. Say yes to the lonely nights, the silent progress, the unseen victories. Because in time, everything will speak. The results will speak. Your work will speak. Your life will speak. So keep sowing, keep believing, keep acting. Because you have within you all of the qualities and elements that are necessary to make you a success. You are not lacking. You are not forsaken. You are not helpless. You are not hopeless. You are full of treasure, and the world is waiting for you to reveal it, not by shouting about it, but by showing up with it. Let the fruit do the talking. Let the results make the noise. Let your life prove the point. And never forget, you and the unseen one are going down to the office together, and you are going to put it over. Reason makes the plans. The strong one carries them through. The strong one is your will. Dream, then carry out your dreams. Drive yourself to the finish line. The will-less dreamer is never a success. You have the vision. Make it come to pass. You dream your dream, and then make the dream come true. Cultivate a discontent with everything that is common in yourself. Compel yourself to improve your mind, your natural abilities. If you have the gift of cooking, be the best cook in the community. If you have a gift, no matter what it is, make that gift stand out until men will admire it. Then someone will want to pay the price for it. The world is full of people who had dreams, but never made them real. They talked about them, fantasized about them, and even cried over them but never acted. Do not be one of them. Be the one who picks up a pen and sketches a plan. Be the one who picks up a tool and carves a future. The world only honors what it can see: results, impact, output. Dreams that are not backed up by sweat and self-discipline become sour memories and regrets. A young man had an unusual gift for dressing windows. He had worked in a store for a long time. He had watched the window dresser and given him suggestions until, by and by, the window dresser asked that he might become his helper. It was but a few weeks until the helper became the artist. The head dresser never told the boss who did the artwork, but men came from different parts of the city to look at the windows. There was always a crowd in front of the store. One day a man came from a distance. He asked who dressed the window. The manager introduced him to the head dresser. The man was disappointed. He said, "He does not talk like one who could do this kind of work." The young man had stood by. Later, he was introduced. The man said, "Do you dress these windows?" The young fellow said, "I am only the sidekick. I have this amount of space in my window." The other said, "What would you do with it?" The young man said, "If you will come back this afternoon, I will tell you." He went into his office and drew the plans. When the man came back and looked at it, he said, "I will give you $2,500 a year if you will go back with me." He had been working for $15 a week. You cannot hide trained genius. You cannot hide trained ability. Other people may use you for a time, but you will break the bond sooner or later, like this young man did. It is in you. Pull it out. And when you pull it out, shape it, refine it, focus it. You don't need to have all the knowledge in the world. You need only to deeply understand one thing and let the world feel it through you. When you are tired, keep showing up. When you are overlooked, keep refining. When others are coasting, keep stretching. Don't wait for someone to recognize your greatness. Recognize it yourself, and then train it until it cannot be denied. There will be seasons of silence. Use them to prepare. There will be days when nobody notices. Use them to build. When people talk down at you, do not argue. Go back to your drawing board and keep shaping your gift. Let the fire inside you grow hotter than the applause you're waiting for. If nobody is cheering you, be your own cheerleader. If nobody is opening a door, build one. If no one believes in your vision, hold it close like a flame in the wind and guard it until the storm passes. Learn to stand alone if necessary. You must be your first believer. You must be your most loyal supporter. And one day, when the world begins to see what you carry, they'll ask how you did it. But you will know it wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was the will, the determination, the clarity of vision, and the refusal to give up when the road was rough and the nights were long. You must build the kind of skill that speaks for itself, that opens doors by its mere presence, the kind of gift that makes people stop and look again. That's what trained ability does. It speaks when you are silent. It shouts when no one expects it. It breaks barriers without violence and draws attention without trying. You may be ignored now. You may be underestimated now. But keep working, keep refining, keep going when others quit. Your breakthrough is not in the hands of fate. It is in the strength of your will and the constancy of your effort. Some will mock, some will question, some will betray, but your work will speak. Your diligence will shout. Your integrity will shine. Focus on growing, not groaning. Focus on improving, not impressing. Spend more time building your character than building your image. Let your work become so strong, so excellent, so unique, that it cannot be hidden. Like light in the darkness, it will attract those who are meant to see it. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. If you are improving, you are progressing. If you are progressing, you are winning. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start with what you have. Don't despise small beginnings. Every mighty tree was once a seed. Every towering structure was once a line in a blueprint. Let each day be a stone you lay on the road to your future. Build it with intention. Build it with courage. Build it with faith in the treasure that God has deposited in you. If it's still raw, refine it. If it's still unclear, clarify it. If it's still small, nurture it. And if you ever feel like quitting, remind yourself, you are not just working for today. You are working for the version of yourself that will one day stand tall, grateful that you didn't give up. Be like that young man so good at what you do that when opportunity knocks, you don't fumble. Instead, you meet it with readiness, with answers, with boldness. Opportunity does not wait for the unprepared. It comes and goes quickly. You must be ready to seize it. You must have the inner conviction that when your moment comes, you are not only willing but also able. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for applause. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Start now, act now, improve now, and every time you fall short, learn and grow. Every time you feel weak, tap into your why. Why did you start? Why must you continue? Why is your gift worth developing? Answer those questions with your life. Train your will like a muscle. Let it grow stronger through discipline. Let it grow resilient through trials. The lazy will watch you rise and wonder how it happened. But you will know you fought, you built, you overcame. While they slept, you studied. While they mocked, you persisted. While they played, you prepared. Never forget that what you become is not determined by talent alone, but by tenacity. There are many talented people buried in obscurity because they never had the will to develop what they carried. You must be different. You must decide that your future is too precious to be gambled with. That your gift is too sacred to be buried in fear and mediocrity. Rise above the average. Shun the easy road. Refuse to settle. You are not ordinary. You were not created to merely exist. You were born to contribute something powerful, something meaningful, something transformative. Refuse to let that gift die inside you. Speak life into it, work it, refine it, present it, and when your moment comes, let the world see what a determined will aligned with purpose and vision can produce. That is the way of the winner. That is the path of the impactful. That is the journey of the one who dreams and dares to bring the dream to life. God has forgotten me, and nobody cares. I might as well throw up the sponge. These were the words, drenched in defeat and desperation, that a young woman said to me just a few weeks ago. The statement hung in the air like a heavy fog, thick with sadness and sorrow, and it stirred something within me, a mixture of compassion and an urge to intervene before her sense of worth was completely consumed by the lies she had embraced. I asked her gently but firmly how she knew that God had forgotten her. How did she know that nobody believed in her? How had she come to this point of absolute resignation? With eyes brimming with tears and voice weighed down by years of disappointment, she replied, "I have had nothing but failure ever since I came to the city." There was no bitterness in her tone, only the quiet dullness of someone who had become emotionally fatigued by constant setbacks. She was like a traveler who had walked 1,000 miles in a storm only to arrive at a closed gate. I looked at her and said, "Don't you think we should take an inventory and find out why you've had failure after failure? What is the real reason for it? For you see, when a person has a string of bad luck, I believe it's time to step back and diagnose the case. No use simply accepting defeat without trying to understand it. The human soul is too precious to throw away that easily. Sometimes we need to be like skilled physicians of our own lives, digging in, tracing the patterns, and if possible, finding what is wrong so we can correct it before it's too late." She hesitated and then said quietly, "Well, I was whipped when I came. This was the frontier of last resort for me. I wasn't pursuing opportunity. I was fleeing pain. I was simply running away from bad luck in the East." There was something in her words that betrayed not only weariness but shame, as if she was embarrassed to admit she had been helping to outrun her past. I said, "You didn't expect to win, did you?" She sighed. "I had hoped I might. I thought if I could just get in the right surroundings, if I could find the right people, maybe I could get on top. Maybe I could be someone." But I noticed a hopeless strain in her voice. It was the sound of someone who once believed but now struggled to imagine a better future. Her eyes, deep pools of disappointment, seemed to carry more weight than any 20-something should have to bear. I said, "Let's go back to the beginning for a moment. You know deep down that God cannot and does not fail anyone who truly trusts Him. He's not like people who forget, who abandon, or who betray. Suppose today, right now, you bring Him your shattered, broken present. Let Him see it all, every broken piece, every tear-stained memory, every wound and weakness. Then make a fresh start today. A new beginning. He will wipe out all the past. And as He wipes it out, you begin again as though you had never tried and failed. Today can be day one of a new history." She looked at me with a mixture of awe and skepticism and whispered, "Oh, I would give anything if I could do that." Her voice trembled with longing, the deep soul yearning of someone desperate for redemption. I said, "But you can do it. You absolutely can. Every person who has ever reached the top, who has truly lived, has had to do it at some point. You are not alone. Many of the dreams and expectations of youth are fragile. Some of them are lost early. Some never get off the ground. But that's not the end. Out of those broken expectations can be born newer, stronger dreams, dreams that are resilient, dreams that are rooted in reality and faith. The faith of youth may have been destroyed, but a new, wiser faith can rise from the ashes of disappointment." She sat still, digesting those words as though they were food after a long hunger. I can still see her face brightening just slightly, like the sun peeking through the storm clouds. If I could only do that, if only there could be born in my heart a new faith, a new dream. I nodded slowly and said, "Your worst enemy is not your circumstances. Your worst enemy is your memory, the way you replay your past over and over, and then let it torment you. Your worst trait is this constant revisiting of your failures and taunting yourself. You cry nearly every night after you go to bed, don't you? Because you feel like you have failed." She nodded slowly, then said, "Yes, that's true." And I looked her straight in the eye and said, "But you're done with that now. You're done with the old soundtrack. You're done with reliving the failures of yesterday. That was a chapter, not the whole story. Failure is just a memory now, something to be filed away and forgotten, not something to rehearse and relive. Right now, in this moment, we are writing a new page. In fact, we're writing a new book, a new story. You have a new name. The name is not loser or failure or nobody cares. No, the name is victory. Yes, victory. In fact, let's give it a personality. We will call it Victoria. We will christen this new woman with a new name and a new identity. You are no longer the woman who gave up. You are the woman who rises, who conquers, who triumphs. You will go out to win." I could see a subtle shift in her posture. Her shoulders, which had been hunched forward in defeat, began to square up. Her chin lifted slightly. A flicker of hope sparked behind her eyes. I pressed on. "You can succeed. Life is still big. Life is still rich. Life has not withdrawn its invitation. You are still welcome to greatness. Let Him, the unseen one, the one who has known you before you were born, take care of you. Trust Him. He is not repulsed by your weakness. He is drawn to it. He delights in lifting people out of the pit. He is looking for opportunities like this. Imagine, if you will, that He has had His eye on you for a long time, not with anger or disappointment, but with affection, waiting for you to look up through the clouds and simply ask for help." She whispered softly, almost reverently, "Do you think He would do it?" I said, "I don't think I know. I am sure He would count it a privilege to rebuild your life. He will not just patch you up. He will restore you fully. Something must have shifted in her spirit that day. She went out not to wander or to wish but to win, and she did. I met her some days later. She walked like someone who had dropped the heavy cloak of despair. Her eyes no longer carried the shadows of regret. Her lips curved easily into a smile. She was not the woman I had met before. She had no past, at least, none that held her back. She had only a brilliant, glad, and bright future ahead of her. She said to me with a lightness in her voice that I hadn't heard before, "You know, it was so easy to get a job." I went back into the same store where they had turned me down before, and this time, they seemed glad I came. They saw something different in me. I think I saw something different in me too. I'm doing the work I enjoy. I feel like I've stepped into my life for the first time. And that, dear friend, is the power of a new attitude, of a renewed mind, and a redeemed hope. Those of you who are still chasing after a better job, a better life, or a better tomorrow must know this. You already carry within you the possibilities of a better job and a better life. They are not out there somewhere, floating in space. They are already in you. Don't sabotage them by clinging to a mindset of defeat. Don't let bitterness, fear, or self-pity spoil your possibilities. Sell yourself to the man who needs you, not in a manipulative or desperate way, but in confidence, knowing that you are an answer to someone's problem. And it becomes so much easier when you have the right mental attitude toward life, when you believe, truly believe, that your story isn't finished, that failure is a chapter and not a sentence, that loss is a detour and not a destination, and that grace is real, available, and waiting to be claimed. So start again, believe again, dream again, trust again, and above all, live again. Not as the woman who was defeated, but as the Victoria who rose. Don't say, "If things were different, I would do something." That line has held countless people back from discovering the possibilities within their present moment. Do something with things as they are. Life is not a stage for waiting until all the lights turn green before you begin your journey. It's about stepping out in the dark and trusting that the next step will unfold as you move. Facing your life as it is now and choosing to win regardless of how messy, unpredictable, or unfair it seems, that is the real object. It's easy to dream when the sun is shining and everything is working in your favor. But when things go hard, when money stops coming in, when the job is lost, when relationships break down, when plans fall apart, when everything seems to go wrong and nothing responds to your effort, that's when the real test begins. That is when character is revealed and destiny is shaped. In those dark moments, take an account of stock. Don't throw up your hands and say there's nothing to be done. Instead, sit quietly, reflect deeply, and search within. See what is wrong. Ask yourself, what have I forgotten? What have I taken for granted? What skills have I failed to develop? What people have I disconnected from? What strength lies unused within me? Then rise not with a scream of frustration, but with a resolve like steel. Go on and conquer, because the truth is, you can, you must, you will. The temptation to fantasize about easier lives or better conditions is universal. We all dream what we would do if we had more money, if we had influential connections, if we had better parents, if we had a stronger education, if we were born in another country, if we hadn't made that one mistake, if people had believed in us, if the government was better, if the economy was stronger. The list is endless, but the word "if" is a dream killer, a delay tactic, a silent thief of destiny. So wipe out the "if." Scratch it off your vocabulary, not just from your lips, but from the deep beliefs that guide your actions. Dream big and act boldly regardless of circumstances. Don't allow what is temporary to destroy what is eternal in you. You say, "That cannot be done," but I tell you it can be done. There is no can't about it. There is only the willingness to try, the resolve to continue, and the discipline to master the process. The man who wills to do it, who puts up the fight, who is willing to sweat through the early mornings and cry through the lonely nights and rise again when the tears dry up. The man who is willing to do the work even when no one is watching and no one is clapping, he is the one who will put it over. He will rise. He will win. Let me tell you the story of a young man who discovered a vein of gold high up in the mountain. He had dreams like you. He had hunger, but he needed power. He needed money. He needed knowledge. He had discovered something, but he didn't yet know what to do with it. He tried. He failed. He tried again. He failed again. He struggled and worked and still failed. Sitting down one night after a long, hard day, his hands bleeding, his body aching, his soul tired, he said to himself, "I know where my difficulty is. I don't know anything about this rock. I don't know anything about geology, and I know nothing about mining. I have heart, but I lack understanding." So he made a bold decision. He came down to the city and went to the head of the mining department at a university, swallowing his pride, facing his ignorance, laying his case bare. The professor called up a mining engineer. The young man told his story honestly, without exaggeration or self-pity. The engineer said that he must go and see the vein. It took about a week to get there, difficult terrain, uncomfortable conditions, but after the engineer had seen it, he looked at the young man and said, "There are millions here. You found something, but it will cost a great deal to get in here and to develop it. You will have to organize a stock company or sell it. Which will you do?" The young man looked him in the eye and said, "I am going to develop it." And that decision was the turning point. It didn't make the journey easier. It didn't erase the struggle, but it gave him a focus. It gave him a reason to suffer with purpose. It took him a year of hard training and study. He gave himself utterly to it. Through the long winter months, he drove himself reading, listening, practicing, learning, failing, repeating until, when the springtime came, he had acquired the knowledge he needed. He became a master of his craft, that mastery born not of comfort but of desperation, not of ease but of fire, made him millions. The problem with too many people is that they want to get it too easily. We live in a generation that celebrates speed and convenience. We want it fast and we want it now. But success doesn't come like that. Most of us say, "If I had had a chance, but circumstances were against me." We find ways to excuse our delay, justify our inaction. We say, "I didn't have the right family. I didn't have the right education. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the connections. I didn't have the look. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the pull." We lay our failure to the lack of opportunity. But the other fellow, handicapped worse than we were, made opportunities. He built bridges where there were none. He knocked on doors until his knuckles bled, and then built new doors when none would open. He fought until opportunities came to him. Success belongs to the man who simply wills to do it. He is the man who makes success come his way. He doesn't wait for rescue. He becomes his own rescue. He doesn't bow to circumstances. He bends them to his will. He doesn't wait for perfect timing. He makes time obey. The fellow who lies down and says, "I can't do it," is a failure before he starts, not because he lacks skill, but because he lacks will. Never lose heart because the first efforts fail. Everybody fails. Every success story you admire has chapters of defeat you never hear about. Go back and find the reason. Don't just cry about it. Analyze it. Pick up the wreckage of old failures and build them into success. You can do it. Yes, you can. If the dream still burns in your heart, it's a sign it's not dead. If you still feel pain, it means you still care. If you're still breathing, you still have a chance. But you must get rid of excuses. Burn them at the altar. You must walk away from self-pity. It is comforting, but it is toxic. You must silence the voices in your head that tell you you're not enough. You're too late. You've made too many mistakes. Lies. All of them. Replace them with truth. You are more than enough. Now is the best time to begin, and your past can become the soil in which your future greatness grows. Face your reality, but don't worship it. Change it, mold it, transform it. And if you don't know how, find someone who does and learn. Humble yourself to be taught. Be willing to be a beginner. Be willing to start from scratch. You may start small, but don't stay small. You may feel alone, but you're not abandoned. There is always help for the one who refuses to quit. There is always strength for the one who decides to rise. The road will be long, the journey hard, the nights lonely, but the reward will be sweet, the legacy eternal. So get up, shake off the dust, let your tears dry on the run. Stop blaming others, stop blaming the past. Stop waiting for someone to save you. You are stronger than you think, you are braver than you feel. You are more equipped than you imagine. No more if, no more delay. No more excuses. Decide, begin, persist, overcome, win, because you can and because you must. Children's lives are largely made up of words, the words of their parents and those whom they love and admire. A child is like a soft, pliable, and impressionable canvas, waiting for the brushstrokes of language to paint upon it an image of self, of hope, of love, of fear, of courage, or of despair. The words spoken over and to a child by those closest to them, the parents, the guardians, the siblings, the teachers, the friends, the church members, and especially the mother and father, create the environment in which their inner world is formed and fortified. Words shape them, not just in the moment they are heard, but in the years and decades that follow. A mother can fill her boy's heart with an untamable zeal for education, for moral uprightness, for diligence, and for a noble position in life, or she can, with just a few thoughtless words, crush the finest spirit that was ever entrusted to a family. When I say that children are word-made, I am not exaggerating. I mean this quite literally. Their beliefs about themselves, their understanding of love, their capacity for resilience, their emotional and mental stamina, their ability to face life with boldness or shrink back in fear, all of these are informed by words. Words of affirmation, words of encouragement, words of approval build them. But so do words of disapproval, criticism, neglect, sarcasm, and condemnation. These to build something, though it is usually something fragile, distorted, and sometimes permanently broken. The wife, too, often underestimates the potent force her words wield over her husband's confidence and emotional stability. When a man loses his job, when he faces disappointment, rejection, or humiliation out there in the marketplace or workplace, the words he receives at home become either his healing balm or the final blow. He may have been whipped, exhausted, and discouraged before he came home, his pride already bruised by the world, but when he walks in through that door, it is the tone of his wife's voice, the choice of her words, that can determine whether he rises up the next morning with renewed strength or sinks deeper into despair. If she scolds him, mocks him, or questions his manhood, she has not only multiplied his burden, but she has also chipped away at the foundation of his soul. But if she opens her arms, embraces him, and says softly and sincerely, "That's all right, dear. You will get a better position. You are worthy of greater things," her words become more than comfort, they become prophecy. Her voice becomes the wind beneath his wings. He goes up the next morning not as one defeated, but as one sent. Her lips become a wellspring of courage, her voice the melody of faith in him. He may have gone to bed weary, but he wakes up a different man, not because the circumstances have changed, but because the words in his heart have changed. And as he goes out into the world again, she remains at home, her own heart full of pride, and she whispers to herself, "What a man God gave me." And he, as he walks down the street or drives to work, whispers back to heaven, "What a woman you gave me, Lord." That is the secret power of words. That is the invisible engine of strong homes, resilient marriages, confident children, and faithful men. A few careless, sarcastic, sharp, or cutting words could have shattered him entirely, filled his mind with confusion, his heart with bitterness, his eyes with tears, but instead, her choice to speak life, love, and hope became his saving grace. Words indeed are mighty. Words can give heartache that lingers like a wound that never quite heals. Words can sow suspicion, jealousy, and insecurity, but in the same breath, words can strengthen the weary, comfort the broken-hearted, and awaken long-dead dreams. Words can rekindle hope where hope has died, and light a fire where the flame has gone out. That is why we must be ever watchful, ever cautious of the words we allow to come from our lips. Words are not merely sounds, they are seeds, and they do not die after they are spoken. They fall into hearts, into souls, and often grow into forests of belief. Some of us are walking around today with entire belief systems built from one sentence someone said to us at the age of 6 or 11. Some cannot love themselves because of a sentence spoken by a father. Some cannot trust others because of an insult once flung at them by a teacher. Others are thriving and standing strong today simply because someone once believed in them and said so out loud. So, let us weigh our words carefully. Do not tell that story you heard the other day about this man or that woman. Don't repeat it. Don't pass on the poison. Don't let another pair of ears be infected the way yours may have been. Just because a tale is interesting doesn't mean it is worth repeating. Choose to be a guardian of good words. Never be the carrier of scandal, gossip, or slander. Never be the bearer of bad news unless it is to bring help or healing. Do not be the one who spreads calamity, fear, or judgment. Let others handle the noise of society, the repetition of decay. Your lips were created for beauty, for blessing, for building. Speak comfort, speak encouragement, speak wisdom, speak life. That is your calling. That is your holy assignment. Careless speaking is a vicious habit that costs far more than it appears. When one finally comes to realize that their words are the coin of their kingdom, that every sentence spoken either deposits value or extracts it from their world, they will stop treating speech as casual. Your words can be a destructive influence or a divine blessing. Your words can be arrows or healing balm. If you cannot say something good, don't say anything at all. If your speech must correct, let it do so with grace. If your words must confront, let them also comfort. If you must challenge, also cheer. Your tongue is a tool. Use it to build, not to burn. Control your tongue, or it will control you. Many have destroyed opportunities, friendships, marriages, and futures simply because they could not control their tongue. You will often hear some people boast, "I speak my mind," and while honesty is noble and transparency admirable, it is dangerous when the mind is filled with pollution. If your mind is filled with resentment, judgment, pride, bitterness, or arrogance, then speaking it out is not virtue, it is violence. A poisoned mind spilling over into speech becomes an agent of destruction. Better to purify the mind first, so that what comes out blesses, not bruises. Sometimes, an idle word spoken in a moment of carelessness falls into someone's heart and stays there for years, even decades, slowly poisoning their self-worth, their faith, their relationships, and their dreams. Just one sentence, one thoughtless phrase, can undo years of progress. But the opposite is also true. One sentence, spoken with truth and love, can restore hope, break chains, and awaken destinies. What a blessing good conversation is! Honest, uplifting, wise, timely conversation. And what a curse its opposite can be: reckless, cynical, divisive speech. Train your tongue to speak only what uplifts. Make it a rule for yourself. If it doesn't help, don't say it. If it doesn't build, don't utter it. Make your tongue a blessing, never a curse. Let your voice become an instrument of heaven's music. A person is judged by their speech. People may see your appearance, but they know your heart through your words. Your words become the mirror of your inner life. They reflect your values, your beliefs, your self-control, and your wisdom. Your words make you either a well of inspiration or a fountain of sorrow. They either inspire confidence or drain it. Your words may carry a fortune in them. Imagine that. Your future may be unlocked not just by talent or strategy, but by the consistent discipline of wise speech. Words can attract allies, open doors, start movements, birth ideas, restore broken relationships, and lead people to faith. Learn to be master of your conversation. Guard it like a precious jewel. Practice silence when needed. Speak when needed. Speak only what is worth hearing. Let your voice be known not for its volume, but for its value. Speak not to impress, but to impact. Choose words that heal, not hurt. Sow encouragement, not envy. Speak to elevate, not to destroy. When you do this, you not only change others, you change yourself. You become a fountain of life. Your home becomes safer, your relationships become stronger, your influence becomes deeper, and your own heart becomes more peaceful. And when your children grow up and look back on their childhood, they may not remember all the toys, the places, or even the meals, but they will remember your words. They will remember the tone of your voice, the sound of your praise, the encouragement in your correction, the warmth in your blessing. They will remember that you built them with words, and they will build others the same way. So remember, speak life. Always. Are the fish worth the cost of pole, line, and hooks? Is honor and competence in old age worth saving, self-denial, and hard work in youth? Would it not be better to spend your money and squander your time, knowing that when old age comes there will be a pension of $15 or $20 a month? These are suggestions that face earnest young people today. You can spend your time in the roadhouse, in the shows or dances, or idly roaming the streets. Or you can drive yourself to study and fit yourself for the place that is waiting. Everywhere big business is hunting for competent help, many mediocre men fill places of importance because no one can be found who is really fitted for the job. It is surprising how difficult it is to find even a good stenographer, to find someone who can take charge of a department and make it a success, to find someone who will take a vital interest in the work and put it over. Almost every man and woman is a time server. His ambition is to get his wages with as little work as possible. The new mental attitude is to get without giving. You cannot be a success and do that. The good old days of honest labor seem to be but a dream today. The road that leads to a good bank account is an uphill road, and most of us have to build the road ourselves. The hitchhikers are filling the road today. They want someone else's car to ride in. They want someone to buy the gas. They want someone to pay the taxes and give them free passage. Are you a mental hitchhiker? Are you a mental hobo? Or are you one of the fellows who pay the taxes, build the roads, and bear the burdens? If you are a success, you will have to bear the burdens. You will have to pay the taxes for 100 other people. The easy way is to hobo it. It is the way of least resistance. I believe a fellow can get used to going on short rations, wearing old clothes, and sleeping in the jungle. But as for me, I am going to go to the top. I am sending out this invitation for the rest of you to come with me. We will not find the road paved and cleared, nor will we find the crowd clapping for us at the beginning. We will meet the scorn of those who laugh at the plotter. We will hear the jeers of the careless, the mockery of the indolent, and the criticisms of the fearful. But none of those matter. What matters is the vision ahead, the destiny that awaits the diligent, the place carved out in the mountain of greatness for those who dare to labor. One day the roadhouse will be empty, the dances will be forgotten, the streets will be silent, and youth will have passed. On that day, when silver crowns your head and your bones move slower, will you be one who looks back in regret, or one who stands tall in harvest of what your discipline has sown? That choice is yours today. The cost of diligence may seem high, but the reward is eternal. You can spend now and be broke forever, or invest now and enjoy later. That's how life works. The laws of sowing and reaping do not bend to modern comforts or trends. They are eternal, unchanging. The world may change its systems and soften its edges, but the principle remains: what you sow, you will surely reap. There is no lasting substitute for preparation, no real shortcut to excellence. The skilled man will always be in demand. You may not see the results immediately. It may feel like your efforts are in vain, but they're not. Every book you read, every late night of study, every small job you do with excellence is compounding in value. It's not wasted. It's laying the foundation of competence that will stand when storms come. It's building your name, your brand, your legacy. People may mock you now, but they will seek your counsel later. They will come for help when their castles built on sand begin to fall. The one who spent his nights learning, serving, and building will become the rock others lean on. And there's something sacred about that. It's more than money, more than status. It's the inner strength, the honor of knowing you took the hard path and stayed true. You will never be ashamed for working hard. No one who built a strong life ever looked back and wished they had wasted more time. When your children look into your eyes, will they see a quitter or a warrior? Will they hear excuses or see a trailblazer? The cost is real, yes. You will lose some friends. You will miss some fun. You will walk alone at times, but you will gain yourself. You will find that the person you are becoming is worth more than the pleasures you left behind. You are not just preparing for a job, you are preparing for life. You are shaping character, developing grit, forging courage. These are the currencies that matter in life's true economy. The future is not in the hands of the gifted. It belongs to the faithful. Talent may open doors, but character keeps you in the room. And what is character but the sum of daily disciplines embraced in secret? So choose today. Will you be the hitchhiker, the dreamer who never acts, or the builder who refuses to quit? Will you ride in the back seat of life, or will you take the wheel? Time is the great equalizer. We all get 24 hours. The difference is what we do with them. The great names in history, the inventors, the leaders, the reformers, they all began like you. Ordinary people with extraordinary resolve. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't cry about their background. They worked, they sacrificed, they fell and rose again. They failed and learned. They dared to believe their life could matter. You can be one of them. Don't envy the rich, become valuable. Don't whine about what you lack. Multiply what you have. Even if you have no money, you have time. You have a mind, you have your word. Use them. If you do not use what you have now, you will not use more if it is given. The world gives more to those who prove faithful in little. That's the law. The test of greatness begins with small tasks. How do you handle pressure? How do you react when nobody watches? That is where the champions are born. The hobo wants results without the process. But there is no harvest without planting. You don't get fit by looking at pictures of a gene. You don't become wise by scrolling through quotes. You rise by action. You rise by consistency. Your destiny is tied to your discipline. Look around. Who are the people making impact? They are the ones who paid the price. While others slept, they worked. While others laughed, they studied. While others mocked, they built. You can choose their path. Or you can wait for luck, which never comes. Success is not magic. It is method. It is focus. It is the product of vision acted upon with sacrifice. Your family may not understand. Your friends may drift away. But your future self will thank you. You will smile someday and say, I'm glad I didn't quit. I'm glad I took the stairs when others waited for the elevator. Those who are at the top did not appear there. They climbed. They stumbled. They bled. They prayed, but they climbed. You must do the same, or you can wait. Wait for a miracle. Wait for a rescue. Wait until it's too late, and all you'll have is regret. That's the price of comfort. But not you. You were made for more. You hear this call because something in you agrees. Something inside knows that the easy path leads to a hard life, and the hard path leads to a life of meaning. Meaning is found in contribution, in becoming an answer, not a burden, in building something that lasts. The road may be long, but it's worth it. Don't stop, don't compare, don't complain, just build. One decision at a time, one step at a time. Let others coast, let others talk, you work, you rise. And when your day comes, and it will come, you'll look back not with pride but with peace. You'll know you gave your best, and that is success. Not applause, not riches, but peace, the inner reward of knowing you lived fully, loved deeply, and labored truly. That's what we're after. That's why we work. That's why we climb. So, are the fish worth the cost? Only you can answer that. But remember, you only get one life, make it count. You are selling from house to house. You are ringing bells. That is a good place to start life. I started it there. You meet a different person every 5 minutes. If you can get them to listen to you, that is the first step. So many simply say, I haven't time, and slam the door in your face. You smile and go to the next. That's the game. But the man who can get inside the house to display his goods is the man who puts it over. The first requisite is a smile and a glad good morning. It is not an ingratiating smile, but a wholesome, big, warm smile. You know that you have something that they need, something they ought to have. You come there with the heart of a philanthropist. You have something to give. They are going to get something worth more than they pay for it. You are not trying to outdo them, but you are there to give them something worthwhile. You are not tricking them or deceiving them, but offering something that has value and integrity and substance, something that adds joy or comfort or usefulness to their lives, something that can lift a burden, brighten a day, open a door, or shape a future. You are not just selling a product. You are carrying hope and vision and transformation in your hands and words. I didn't know anything about the sales game when I went into it as a boy of 21. Salesmanship was not taught then as it is today. I became one of the pioneers of sales talk, teaching the art of salesmanship. I discovered early that sales is not about pressure or manipulation. It is about understanding and sincerity and a burning belief in what you carry in your case, in your heart, in your conversation. But I found that I could not sell unless I had confidence in the thing I was selling. I was selling pianos and organs from house to house. I tried to sell an instrument in which I had no confidence. I was an utter failure. I went back to the office and asked the manager which was the best piano for such a price. He told me. I went to the factory to find out all about pianos. I wanted to know how the things were built. I went through the factory and studied them until I knew everything a young fellow could learn about the instruments. Then I went out on the road. I knew that I had the best thing on the market for the money. I knew that if I could get a piano into a house and get the boys and girls to practice, it would change the future of that home. I went out to help the community. I succeeded. It was so easy to sell when I had the right mental attitude toward the people. I was trying to bless them. I was trying to help the folk who buy. Do you see the point? That is the real art of salesmanship. I was so dead in earnest about it. I was so enthusiastic about the bargain which I had that I carried them off their feet. I sold to people who had no music in them. I sold to them because of the excessive, burning desire in my heart to make them happy. That is the thing which sells. Settle it in your own mind. Is the thing you are selling worthwhile? If it is not, then get something that is. If you are selling insurance, bonds, autos, or groceries, know this. If your entire ambition is simply to get the money out of it, you will fail. But if you are giving them something that is going to be a blessing, and you are enthusiastic over it, you will be a success. People can sense sincerity just as clearly as they can sense pretense. People know when you believe in what you say. They know when you're excited because you've seen what this product or service or opportunity has done for others or for yourself. And that conviction lights up your eyes, powers your voice, and creates an atmosphere where doors open, hearts listen, and decisions are made not because of clever persuasion but because of felt authenticity and passionate care. And so, as I walked the streets, rang doorbells, smiled, greeted, and knocked, I began to understand humanity more deeply than ever before. I met the anxious mother, the overworked father, the dreaming child, the skeptical elder, the lonely widow. I saw behind each door a world of need, of hope, of worrying, of aspiration, and my job was not just to sell but to serve. And so selling became a sacred mission, not just a business, a calling, not just a career. It was the art of matching a solution to a need, the craft of listening more than speaking, the science of timing, the spirit of generosity, and the skill of storytelling. When I told the story of what that piano could do for a household, it wasn't fiction, it was real. I had seen it in the home of the Petersons, where the quiet son became a confident young man, or in the Millers, where the daughters found joy after the father passed, or in the Brooks house, where family arguments diminished because music softened the evenings and united their hearts. That is what I was selling. I was selling better days, fuller lives, brighter homes, and hopeful tomorrows. And when I knocked on a door, I knocked not to interrupt, but to introduce, not to intrude, but to inspire. And that is the highest level of salesmanship. It is ministry cloaked in commerce, and purpose wrapped in profit. And so to those who are afraid of sales, who see it as demeaning or pushy or unpleasant, let me say that you have not seen it rightly. It is one of the finest trainings for life. It teaches you patience, persistence, empathy, communication, confidence, rejection management, time stewardship, and interpersonal wisdom. You become better at reading faces, interpreting body language, adjusting tones, and feeling energy shifts in a room. You become emotionally intelligent and socially sharp and mentally agile, all because you are meeting new people all the time, adapting your words to their worlds, and bringing your purpose into their present needs. So, if you are just starting and you find yourself discouraged at slammed doors or cold faces, remember this: every no is one step closer to a yes. Every rejection is a polishing of your skill. Every closed door is a chance to grow thicker skin and deeper compassion. And in time, you will find yourself stronger, more confident, and more capable than ever before. You will learn not to take it personally, not to let a no define your worth or determine your future, because you are more than the rejection, and the value of what you carry does not diminish just because one person did not see it. And over time, your numbers get better, your script flows smoother, your confidence feels quieter, your joy becomes deeper. And then you realize that you no longer just go from door to door, but from heart to heart, and from one small act of courage to another. And your income grows not because of luck or chance, but because of consistency and belief and the value you truly bring. And one day a young man or woman will ask you how you became successful, and you will remember those long days in the cold or heat, the aching feet, the harsh words, the few kind smiles, and the joy of each sale. And you will say, I started selling door to door, and I believed in what I had, and I believed in the people I met, and I never gave up. And I found that when you approach each knock with respect and hope and honesty, you are never truly defeated. And then you will look at them, smile, and say, would you like to come with me and learn? And just like that, the legacy continues, and another dream is awakened, and the world gets a little better because someone somewhere decided that selling is not just about products but about purpose, not just about goods but about good, not just about profit but about people. And that is the story I tell, that is the lesson I share, and that is the reason I still knock not just on doors, but on possibilities and futures and faith in the goodness of what we bring. You have 3 great enemies. These are mental traits that can be conquered. First, putting off decisions and action until a later period, never deciding anything when a decision is demanded. You face a great crisis in your life. You know you ought to make yourself mentally proficient along a certain branch of study, You are filled with enthusiasm until you take up the books. Then you say, "I'll start this tomorrow." The moment you say that, you are defeated. Usually, one might just as well throw his books into the fire, because tomorrow he will repeat himself. The secret of winning is action. The greatest victories in life belong to those who act, who take the step even when the outcome is uncertain, who understand that indecision is a form of slow self-destruction. Every time you postpone action, you build a habit of delay, a habit of doubt, a habit of fear. And these habits form change chains that quietly tighten around your potential. You look back after months or years and see all the dreams still sitting at the starting line, while others who dared to act are now running their races, some already past the finish line. It is not because they were smarter, luckier, or more privileged. It is because they moved. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality. The smallest action is greater than the grandest intention. A dream written down is still a fantasy unless you wake up and work it. The people who shape history are not those who waited for perfect clarity or optimal conditions. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality. The smallest action is greater than the grandest intention. A dream written down is still a fantasy unless you wake up and work it. The people who shape history are not those who waited for perfect clarity or optimal conditions. They are the ones who stood in the storm, made decisions, acted despite fear, and learned on the go. They realized that the mind prefers safety and comfort, but growth lives in discomfort and risk. The only way to develop mental strength is to train it, and training begins the moment you stop postponing. So, if you want to conquer the first enemy, you must start. Not tomorrow, not next week, now today, this minute. Because each minute of delay chips away at your confidence. Each postponed decision makes the mind weaker. Decide and act, and you begin to build an inner strength that becomes your greatest asset. Your ability to take quick, clear action is a superpower in a world full of hesitation. The second enemy is mental laziness. This is widespread. It is the line of least resistance and can be cured only by the sternest methods. The you that is in you is the real master of your mental processes. The you that is in you is the you the world is seeking. You must so honor that you give it its place of authority, of dominion over your faculties. Now drive your mind to work. You absolutely refuse to give it any rest until it has accomplished the desired amount of work. You must be absolute master of yourself, of your faculties. For your mind will always be lazy until interest has been created. Then it flows on smoothly, but interest is not always natural. Often, it is born out of discipline. You cannot wait until you feel like working. If you wait for motivation, you'll stay stuck. If you build discipline, you will be free. Mental laziness is like a fog that creeps in silently. It convinces you that scrolling through your phone is harmless, that watching one more episode won't hurt, that it's okay to relax a bit more, to delay just a little longer. But over time, this fog thickens. It dulls your senses, clouds your judgment, and numbs your drive. Soon, the goals that once excited you feel too far, too hard, too out of reach. Not because they are, but because you no longer have the mental energy to reach for them. Your real self, the powerful you, must rise. It must shout down every excuse. It must shake off the lethargy and push your mind to work, to focus, to create. Whether it is studying a difficult subject, writing that proposal, building your craft, or learning a new skill, your success depends on your ability to push past laziness and deliver. Mastering your mind is not about being hard on yourself, but being faithful to your purpose. It is about saying, "I may not feel like it now, but I will do it anyway." And when you do it once, and then again and again, something shifts inside you. The fog clears, clarity comes, energy follows, progress returns. And soon, the discipline that felt like chains becomes the engine that propels you forward. It is not talent that separates the successful from the struggling. It is not IQ, background, or opportunity. It is this, the ability to work even when it's hard, boring, or uninspiring. To push yourself past comfort into contribution. To use the you inside you as a general that commands your mental army with courage and consistency. The third enemy is wrong talking, negative talking. I knew a man who started out in business with every promise of success. He had the right location. He had the right kind of business. He had a multitude of friends. He was a good beer and a good salesman. I went into his store on my way to the post office nearly every morning. I used to admire his store. It was so clean. The details were so carefully managed. A change came over him. He had a little domestic difficulty. He began to talk discouragingly. In 2 years that man talked himself out of a splendid, growing business. I did not know then what I know now, or I could have stopped him. He simply talked himself out. He discouraged people who came in. He was full of pessimism and doubt. He challenged everything. Finally, he talked himself into absolute failure. You cannot afford to talk failure, doubt, or fear. Why? Because words register in your heart, and after they have registered, they take control of your life. What you say shapes what you believe. What you believe becomes how you behave. And how you behave determines what you receive. So every word of doubt, every sentence of self-sabotage, every whisper of negativity builds walls around your mind and limits your future. Speech is not harmless. Words are seeds. They grow into habits, mindsets, and realities. A person who constantly talks about how hard life is will live a hard life. A person who always mentions how unlucky they are will feel cursed. A person who rehearses failure out loud will experience it in reality. Why? Because you are programming your subconscious mind with every word you utter. The man who lost his business did not lose it because of the economy, or his product, or even his family troubles. He lost it because he lost the battle of the tongue. And when the tongue becomes a tool of complaint, fear, or blame, it weakens the spirit. But you can change your world by changing your words. Speak faith, speak hope, speak determination. Even when you are scared, say, I will find a way. Even when you're tired, say, I am strong. Even when it seems impossible, say, with effort and grace, I will do it. Train your mouth to align with your goals, not your fears. Let your words be fuel, not fire. Let them be ladders, not limits. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. Your mind is a garden, and your words are the water. You must water your garden with truth, with hope, with strength. The 3 enemies: delay, laziness, and negative talking are not invincible. They thrive in silence and avoidance. But the moment you face them, name them, and fight them, they shrink. They are not monsters. They are habits, and habits can be changed. You change them by action, by discipline, and by speech. You rise each morning and say, today I act. Today I work. Today I speak life. And each day that you do, you reclaim a piece of your power. You rise higher in your thinking, your performance, your belief. You become sharper, stronger, steadier. You are no longer a victim of internal enemies, but a master of your own mind. And when you master your mind, you master your future. Your life bends in the direction of your dominant thoughts and daily actions. It doesn't matter how long you've delayed. It doesn't matter how many times you've been lazy. It doesn't matter how many times you've spoken defeat. What matters is what you decide now, right now, this very moment. Because this is where your power is, in the now. Not in the regret of the past or the anxiety of the future. Your enemies are not out there. They are within, but the solution is also within. The you that is in you is powerful, determined, intelligent, and destined for greatness. Give that you the microphone. Let it speak, let it act, let it lead. And you will begin to see a transformation not just in your work, but in your entire life. Most of us are like wild land undeveloped. We show signs of real wealth, but it is lying underneath the roots and stumps and refuse that need to be cleared away to make the soil usable. Here is a voice with marvelous timbre, but no training. They write across it, unusable, undeveloped. Here is a face with a smile that has wrapped up in it a fortune, but the mind back of it is untrained, unfit, unready. We write across it, unavailable. What we need is hard work, not work on impulse, but on principle. We need to drive ourselves until we have developed the rich resources within us. The time to do it is now. Begin today to clean up that rich bottom land in your nature and get it into production at once. Make everything swing into line now to the one great objective of your life. Determine your future, settle what you are going to do, and then make every day pay tribute. Form habits of study, habits of industry. Learn to save the moments. The hours will take care of themselves. Form the habit of concentration, downright hard thinking. Drive your mind. Become an absolute slab driver over your own faculties. They are your slaves, your servants. Make them work, make them study, make them develop. Kill laziness and that droning habit of dreaming. Transform it into vital energy. Set the dynamo of a tremendous purpose loose inside of you. Indecision and wastefulness of ability and time must be destroyed. Fight for time. It is the most valuable asset you have. Cut every corner. Save every moment. Be exact with yourself. Put yourself on a schedule. Make yourself do your best. Wasting time is wasting ability. It is wasting the thing that makes you worthwhile. Learn to use it. Make your time your wealth. Make moments pay dividends. Carve out of every day that which spells success for tomorrow. Make yourself worthwhile. Make people want you. Make yourself so attractive, so vitally attractive, so valuable that man will hunt after you. Make opportunities where no opportunities ever existed before. Make yourself ready for the opportunity. Develop in yourself what the world is looking for. When people say there are no jobs, let your name be on the lips of 1,000 people because of how irreplaceable and diligent you are. Let them say there are no jobs, but if only we can find another like you. Let them say we may not be hiring, but we can't afford to lose this one. Be so consistent that you defy the stereotypes. Be so excellent that you disturb mediocrity. Be so ready that when opportunity knocks, you open not with nervous hands, but with a finished product. You must become a doer, not a dreamer. Dreams without action are chains. They bind you in illusions of progress, but you never move. Action is what separates those who rise from those who remain. Refuse to settle for good intentions. Wake up each morning with a battle plan and go to bed each night with evidence of progress. Develop your mind, read widely, think deeply, and speak with clarity. Refuse shallow thinking. Refuse lazy assumptions. Stretch your capacity. Be uncomfortable. That's where growth lives. Be so full of knowledge and insight that your mind becomes a magnet for solutions. Let your presence solve problems. Let your words lift rooms. Let your ideas carry weight. You must take ownership of your development. Don't wait for a mentor, a boss, a friend, or a teacher. Be your own coach. Evaluate yourself. Correct yourself. Encourage yourself. Discipline yourself. Command yourself. The person you are becoming is far more important than anything you own. Who you are is the foundation of all you will build, and the raw materials are already within you. Greatness is not outside you, it is buried inside the wild land of your soul, under layers of excuses, fear, and comfort. Clear them, cut them down, burn them if you must. Get to the soil, cultivate it. Plant greatness in it, water it with discipline. Fertilize it with learning, and protect it with determination. Refuse distraction. Every time you give your energy to something unworthy, you steal from your future. Refuse comparison. Your race is yours alone. Focus is power. Train your will, Willpower is like a muscle, it grows when you use it. Say no when it's hard. Push forward when it hurts. Keep going when nobody claps. Learn to love silence and stillness, for in them clarity is born. And when you are clear, you are dangerous. Know what you want, see it in your mind. Speak it with your mouth. Work for it with your hands. Dream big, but hustle harder. Don't be that person who talks endlessly but never executes. Talk less, do more. Let your results be your voice. Let your work be your reputation. Let your progress speak so loudly that your silence becomes power. Build character. Let your word be gold. Show up early. Finish strong. Take responsibility when things go wrong. Give credit when things go right. Don't make excuses. Make changes. If you fall, get up. If you fail, learn. If you're tired, rest, but don't quit. Quitting is betrayal to your dreams, your gifts, your purpose. Life is not waiting, it is moving. And if you don't move with it, you will be left behind. Time is not kind to the idle. The undeveloped land will not wait forever. Weeds will overtake it, rocks will harden in it. But if you rise now, if you start now, if you commit now, you can turn that wild land into a garden of influence, a vineyard of legacy, a forest of impact. There is wealth in you, emotional wealth, mental wealth, spiritual wealth, creative wealth. Do not die with it buried. Make something of it. Multiply it. Refuse mediocrity. Burn the bridges to your excuses. Delete the contacts of your distractions. Starve your fears. Feed your faith. Reject everything in you that wants to stay small. You were not born to be hidden. You were not born to blend in. You were not born to live and die in survival mode. You were born to be seen, to be felt, to be heard. But first, you must become someone worth hearing, someone worth trusting, someone worth following. Master the basics. Excellence is built on fundamentals. Master your time, master your words, master your emotions, master your habits, master your thinking. Get your body in shape. Get your mind in shape. Get your spirit in shape. Build your stamina. Build your grit. Build your resilience. You will be tested. Life will not hand you things easily. You must earn them. And if you build yourself now, you will not be afraid when pressure comes. You will not crumble. You will not fold, because deep inside, you know you have worked, you have prepared, you have developed, you have paid the price in private, so you can shine in public. This is the difference between those who only wish and those who win. The wild land inside you is waiting. The trees are tall with potential. The ground is rich with talent, but it is up to you to clear it, to till it, to plant it, to grow it. No one can do your becoming for you. If you will take these next few months, these next few years, and turn your life into a project of discipline, growth, and service, you will become unrecognizable. People will ask how you did it, but you will know it was not magic. It was not luck. It was not connections. It was focus, drive, sacrifice, effort, and consistency. Decide now that you will never again live under your potential. Decide now that the wild land in you will be cultivated. It will be fruitful. It will produce. It will multiply. You will build something with your life that matters. You will create a legacy that outlives you. You will serve others through the strength you've built, but it starts with you. It starts today, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Be the land that becomes a harvest. Be the voice that becomes a movement. Be the face that becomes a beacon. Be the life that becomes a gift to the world. This is a little study of great things. One man started out in life without sponsors, without a university education, without money. Someone said to him, "What have you beside your two hands to make a success of life?" He said softly, "I have nothing but words." The friend smiled, not understanding him. So he started on his lonely quest for success with nothing but words. He learned the secret of putting things into words, of making words living things. He freighted his words with thought, clear thought, and after a bit, he learned the secret of putting his fine, clean, splendid manhood into his words. Men began to set a value upon his words. People would stop him on the street to engage him in conversation just to hear his words. You understand that almost every man who has climbed to the top of the ladder of success has climbed with words. Here and there a man has climbed because of an unusual voice or an unusual gift of artistry, but the majority of men have gotten their feet on the first rung of the ladder of success by words. They climbed rung by rung to the top. A man must put a valuation on his own words before others will sense their value. The ambitious man's words became his bank account. He studied, he dug deep, he thought through on problems. Other people learned to trust his judgment and his words, rather than to study for themselves. There is a vast army of people who have certain business ability, but they have to hire others to do most of their thinking. He supplied that want, he did the thinking. By and by they were willing to pay him almost any price to have him think for them. His words became valuable. They were his servants. How they labored for him! He filled words with inspiration, with comfort, with hope for others. He sent them out on wings, until they passed from house to house, from lip to lip. He found himself being quoted here and there. His words were doing things. They were his servants working for him. He had learned the secret of words. By and by, publishers paid him almost unthinkable prices for his words. Why? Because he had learned the art of filling words with inspiration, new life. Let's study words. Let's learn to fill them with goodies for the children, healing for the sick, victory for the discouraged, and we will win. The man who learns to master his words becomes a master over his world. The world listens to people who say something worthwhile, and they follow people who say it well. If your words carry truth, conviction, courage, and clarity, you become a beacon in a dark and confusing world. Many waste their words in idle chatter, in gossip, in complaint, and never realize that they are scattering gold dust to the wind. But those who conserve their speech, who refine it, who pour meaning into every syllable, these are the ones whose voices linger in memory, whose words outlive their years. One cannot afford to speak aimlessly. Speech is power. Words build or destroy. They open doors or close them. They light fires or quench them. They elevate or debase. The wise man knows this and chooses his words with the care of a jeweler cutting diamonds. He knows each phrase is a tool or a weapon, a bomb or a blade. And so, the man who learned to work with words began to see that language is not merely a method of communication but a force of creation. He spoke worlds into being. He spoke futures into lives. His sentences were seeds. His conversations planted harvests. People came to him for advice, for vision, for hope. They wanted to hear what he would say next, for his words made them feel they could go on, they could believe again, they could rise above. This did not happen by accident. It came by discipline. He read, he studied, he practiced, he repeated. He failed and retried. He labored like a craftsman sharpening a chisel, knowing that the day would come when he would need to carve a path with his tongue, shape destinies with his declarations. And that day came. One by one, opportunities began to unfold. Doors that had been closed to the less articulate swung open for him. He walked through them not with riches in his hand, but with words in his heart and purpose in his mouth. He had made himself a treasure house of phrases, a vault of thoughts, a library of ideas. His words began to make him known in places he had never been. They traveled further than he could walk. They found ears he had never seen. They carried his message to cities and countries and halls of influence. People quoted him in speeches, in articles, in classrooms, in homes. His voice, recorded or printed, lived in other hearts. And still, he remained a student of words, always learning, always refining, always reaching deeper for meaning and expression. He understood that words grow stale if not renewed, that the tongue must be trained like an athlete's body, that lazy language becomes lifeless. So he pushed himself, tested new ways to say old truths, wrapped ancient wisdom in fresh garments. And the world loved him for it. What began as nothing but words became everything. It became his career, his calling, his crown. He who had no sponsors now sponsored dreams in others. He who had no education became an educator through expression. He who had no money became wealthy through vocabulary. And you, yes, you have words, too. You have within you the same treasury, waiting to be unearthed, developed, refined, and released. Your words can heal a wound or deepen it. Your words can stir up courage or sow fear. Your words can revive a soul or crush it. Your words can command attention or repel it. So, study your words, value them, practice them. Stop wasting your breath on what does not build. Start investing your mouth in what gives life. Make your words work for you. Train them like a team of horses. Harness them with discipline. Yoke them with wisdom. Aim them with purpose. Speak less, but with more power. Let your silence be golden, and your speech be diamonds. As you build this power, as you choose each word with care, you will see doors open where none seemed possible. You will feel people draw near to hear your insight. You will leave impact with nothing but the echo of your voice. You will shape minds and destinies without lifting more than your lips. The power of words is available to all, but mastered by few. Decide today to be among the few. Decide that your words will rise above mediocrity and move into mastery. Refuse to use language merely to pass time or fill air. Refuse to be casual with the most powerful tool you possess. Begin today to shape your tongue like a sword for justice, a pen for truth, a trumpet for hope, and one day, like that man who had nothing but words, you too will look back and realize those words made you rich not just in money, but in meaning. Rich in relationships, rich in reputation, rich in reach. Your words will go where your feet cannot. They will speak when you are gone. They will defend your name, spread your values, carry your vision. But only if you treat them now as treasure, as responsibility, as power. So do not say you have nothing. If you have words, you have everything you need to begin. And if you will begin speaking life, begin speaking truth, begin speaking with excellence, then nothing will be impossible to you. Remember, words build bridges over impossible terrain. Words unlock imprisoned souls. Words start revolutions and revive generations. Do not take them lightly. Do not throw them away. Guard your words like gold. Hone them like steel. Cherish them like children, and release them like arrows into a world desperate for direction. Yes, this is just a little study of great things. But if you understand it, and if you act on it, it can make your life one of the great things in this world. All from nothing but words. Perhaps they never told you, but they measure you by your words. You are rated by your words. Your salary is gauged by the value of your words. Your words make a place for you in the business in which you are engaged. Neither jealousy nor fear can keep you from climbing to the top if your words have value that belongs at the top. The organization is bound to give you the place that belongs to you if your words bring forth the right results. You don't have to put on, you don't have to exaggerate. All you have to do is to be natural, but make that natural worth listening to. Study your work. Study how to say things. Study how to use words that will change circumstances around you. Make a study, an analytical study of words. Then see how much you can put into a single sentence. I don't mean how many words, but how much you can put into the words so that when men and women listen to your words, they will be thrilled by them. The clerk in a 5 and 10 cent store said, "Good morning," in such a way that I turned to look at her. She had put something into her words. She had put herself, her personality into her words. Her words rang. She sold me some pencils at 2 for 5 cents, but she sold them as though she were selling a Piersaro car. After I had left the store, I felt inclined to go back and watch her deal with other customers. Cut out the useless words that stand in the way. Eliminate all the words that would hinder the thing you want to put over from reaching the mark. Make your words work in the hearts of those who listen. Trust in words. Trust in the words of your own lips. Fill them with loving truth. Think in your heart of how you want to help those who are to be your customers, how you're going to bless them, and how the thing that you have is necessary to their enjoyment. It is what you put into your words that makes them live in the hearts of the hearers. Empty words die in no man's land. They never get over the trench. If they do, they are duds. If they do get across and people hear them, they amount to nothing. Living words, words bursting with heart messages thrill and grip. Love always seeks the right word to convey its message without loss in transit. Clothe your thoughts in the most beautiful words, but don't sacrifice pungency for beauty. Blend them. Be deliberate with your expressions. Your words must carry weight, not from volume or vocabulary, but from intent, emotion, and integrity. Never underestimate the power of a soft-spoken truth or an honest phrase carefully delivered. Speak not just to inform, but to transform. Speak not just to be heard, but to be remembered. Fill your words with vision. Paint pictures with your speech. Inspire action. Don't merely describe what is, reveal what could be. When your words awaken dreams in others, you gain influence. Influence is not a function of position or title. It is born in the crucible of communication. When your words feed someone's hunger for purpose or direction, you become a light in their path. Practice putting power into your sentences. Read them aloud. Feel them. Taste them. Does it stir something in you? If not, why would it stir something in another? The difference between common talk and commanding speech is preparation. Fill your inner reservoir with meaningful ideas, noble intentions, generous thoughts. Your words can only draw from the well you've dug inside. If that well is shallow or dry, your speech will be, too. But if you have cultivated a heart of understanding, a mind of clarity, and a will aligned with truth, then your speech will overflow with impact. Even casual conversations will carry weight. Even greetings and goodbyes will be memorable. Great orators are not always the loudest or most dramatic. They are simply those whose words feel alive. Their words don't just land on the ears, they land on the soul. Let that be your goal. Whether you are speaking to 1 or 1,000, treat your words with reverence. Don't throw them out carelessly. We live in a noisy world. People are bombarded with words every minute. What makes your words stand out? It's the life you pour into them. It's the heart that beats behind them. It's the clarity of your thinking, the strength of your convictions, the sincerity of your soul. Remember, words are not only spoken, they are written, texted, emailed, posted, printed. Every word you release into the world carries your identity with it. Every word represents you. Be intentional. Be authentic. Be excellent. One well-timed phrase can open doors, settle arguments, win opportunities, build bridges, or heal wounds. Likewise, one careless sentence can destroy trust, sever relationships, or close doors for good. Never say, "They're just words." There is no such thing. Every word is a seed. What you sow, you shall reap. Speak with the consciousness that your words create the world you live in. Speak with the reverence of a sculptor shaping stone. Speak with the passion of a poet writing for the ages. Speak with the care of a craftsman laying gold. Then you will see that what you say begins to form the framework of your influence, your reputation, your future. A simple greeting can leave a lasting impression. A brief affirmation can change someone's direction. A small correction, said kindly, can save someone from disaster. Don't waste such opportunities. Don't think your words are too small to matter. Speak with dignity, even when you're casual. Speak with strength, even when you're soft. Speak with purpose, even when you're playful. Words are tools, and you are the builder. Words are gifts, and you are the giver. Words are seeds, and you are the sower. Choose them wisely. Carry them carefully. Scatter them generously. Sharpen them thoughtfully. And never stop learning how to use them better. Read great works. Listen to great speakers. Practice constantly. Reflect deeply. Ask yourself after every conversation, did my words add value? Did they uplift or enlighten? Did they reflect my true intentions? Or did I speak simply to fill the silence? The world is full of noise. We need voices that cut through the clamor. Be one of those voices. Be the one they remember because your words were like water to a thirsty soul, like light in a dark room, like music in a moment of silence. Let your words breathe life into boardrooms and backrooms, into classrooms and living rooms, into emails and meetings and marketplaces. Whether you're selling a product, sharing a vision, resolving a conflict, or expressing gratitude, say it well. Learn the art of condensing meaning into a few potent lines. A single sentence, if filled with conviction and clarity, can be more powerful than an entire speech delivered without soul. Speak from the heart, but with the mind engaged. Don't ramble, don't bluff, don't brag. Say what matters, and mean what you say. People follow those who speak with direction. They trust those who speak with integrity. They admire those who speak with grace, and they remember those who speak with love. Let your words reflect the best of you. Let them be seasoned with wisdom, rich in understanding, soaked in sincerity. When you talk about your work, make people feel they're witnessing something sacred. When you talk about others, honor them with your tone. When you talk about yourself, do it with humility and purpose. Speak less about what you've done and more about what you're doing for others. The value of your words is not measured by how clever they are, but by how helpful, how healing, how inspiring they can be. Be the kind of person whose words are quoted when you're not around. Be the kind of person whose advice is repeated because it works. Be the kind of person whose speech builds up rather than tears down. And if ever you fail in speech, as we all do at times, be quick to apologize, quick to clarify, quick to restore. Because even the best wordsmiths are still human. Growth is not perfection, it is the commitment to improve every time you fall short. Make it your mission to be a student of words for life. Fall in love with language. Respect its power. Never stop refining how you speak and write. The more you master your words, the more you master your world. Because in the end, success is not about how loud you are, it's about how clearly you communicate, how deeply you connect, how beautifully you can say what others feel but cannot express. That is where your real advantage lies. That is how you climb without force. That is how you rise without stepping on others. That is how you lead without shouting. That is how you get paid more without asking. That is how you become irreplaceable. So start today. Take inventory of your vocabulary. Sharpen your message. Fill your speech with purpose. Practice eloquence. Practice warmth. Practice truth. Learn to read a room. Learn to silence distractions. Learn to listen deeply so you can respond wisely. And as you do, you will find that your words make space for you in every arena. They will carry your name into places your resume cannot. They will preserve your dignity when everything else is stripped away. They will build your brand, your legacy, your influence. And all of it will begin with something as simple, as accessible, as powerful as this: your words. Empty words hold no more interest than a last year's bird's nest. When we fill the words with ourselves and we are honest, our words will be honest. Others grow to depend on them. I know a young man whose words are filled with love and unselfishness and a desire to help people. Whenever he speaks in the company of people, they listen to him. Nowhere do words have the strange effect that they do in a radio message. The minister who speaks over the air in a cold, dead voice will get a cold, dead response, no matter how beautiful the thoughts he has or how beautifully he clothes them. If the words are not filled with love, with faith, they don't live. Faith is built by words. Deeds have their place, but deeds are the children of words, in a large measure. You speak, then I watch you perform. It is your speech that attracts my attention. Your deeds have their place, and we give you credit for them. But it is your words that set us on fire. You can fill your words with anything you wish. You can fill them with fear, until the very air around you vibrates with doubt and fear and restlessness. You can fill your words with fear germs, and you fill me with fear of disease and disaster. Your words are filled with interrogation points, with a sense of lack, with hunger and want. Or you come to me and your words are filled with faith. Your faith words stir me to the very depths. I wonder why I ever doubted. Your words enwrap me within themselves. Your words are like sunlight, like coming into a warm room from a cold, frosty atmosphere outside. Your words pick up my drooping, broken spirit and fill it with confidence with which to go out and fight again. They are faith words, wonderful words. The reason Jesus' words had such far-reaching influence was that they were faith words. When he said to the sea, "Peace, be still," the very sea grew quiet, and the winds hushed their noise to hear the words of faith from the lips of the man. The deaf could hear his faith words. The lame and broken could rise and walk and run because of his faith words. There was something in his words that drove disease and pain out of the body and fear out of the heart. I can hear John say, "I used exactly the same words, and that boy was not healed." Now the Master takes the words out of my lips and fills them with something, and when they are heard, the child is healed. What did Jesus put into his words that had such healing power? A salesman is talking. He says, "I cannot understand it." I used the same argument, the same method, and I utterly failed. I used almost the identical words, and yet they said, "No, I cannot buy today. I have no special interest in this thing." Then the other man came and took my seat. He used the same formula that I had. The man became interested immediately. After a while he reached into his pocket and pulled out his checkbook. What did that man have that I didn't? One man's words were filled with pure mentality. He said the things like a phonograph. The other put living faith, interest, and love into his words. When this last salesman sat down, there was a look of quiet assurance on his face, and his first sentence registered because he believed in the thing he was selling. He not only believed in it, but he believed that if the customer purchased it, it would be a blessing to him. It was a safe and wise investment. This man generated faith, created faith in the customer. The customer put his hand in his pocket and held it there quite a while. He was holding on to his checkbook. By and by he said, "I will take so many shares. That looks good to me." His check was written and signed. The deal was made. Why? Because the salesman had filled his words with faith. His was Job's cry to his friends. They came as comforters. They stayed as tormentors. Words heal and words break. Words destroy and words make life as we find it today. Words heal us and words make us ill. Words bless us and words curse us. The words I just heard will linger through the day. How little women realize that a biting, stinging word in the morning will rob her husband of efficiency through a whole day. A loving, tender, beautiful word, a little prayer word will fill him with music that will lead him on to victory. We need the martial music of faith that only our loved ones can give to us. How little we have appreciated the tremendous power of words, written words, spoken words, words set to music. A Southern officer said to a Northern friend, "Had we had your songs, we would have conquered you." A political speaker said, "You won the election because you had better speakers than we. We had more money, but we did not have words well spoken." You see, men and women, that a study in words is one of the most valuable assets in a life. Learn how to make words work for you. Learn to make words burn. Learn to fill words with power that cannot be resisted. Mussolini held Italy in his hand by the power of his words. Austria was conquered by Hitler with words: no powder, no poison gas, no bayonets, just words. How we wait for a message made up of words. The secret of advancement in life lies in the ability to say the right kind of words. My ministry over the air is a ministry of words. I fill them with love. I take God to fill them with Himself, and so I send them out to bless and cheer. Mothers, your home atmosphere is a product of words. Your boy failed because wrong words were spoken, right words were not spoken. Why is it that some families grow up so clean and strong, fight their way through college, and go out in life's fight and win? It is because the right kind of words were spoken in the home. Words make a boy love education. Words bring a boy to church or keep him away. Think of something of infinite importance, and then learn to choose the right words to express it. Then send the words out with pen or tongue. The way we say it has tremendous weight. Every public speaker should make a study of words, the kind of words that count. Then before he leaves his study, he should so charge his mind with God and God's ability, that when he stands before the people, that ability will fill his words until his people are thrilled. He should make the delivery of words a study, an art. He should fill all his words with kindness, with love. Every man in the sales game should make himself a master of words. Try out words in your own home. See how they work. Fill your lips with lovely words, beautiful words, until men will love to meet you, long to hear you speak. Remember, words are apples of gold and network of silver. Stepping out of sin consciousness into sun consciousness is stepping out of failure into success. Sin consciousness keeps a man shackled to the weight of his past, imprisoned by guilt, buried beneath the constant reminder of his unworthiness. But sun consciousness liberates him, lifts him, clothes him with dignity, and crowns him with the awareness of divine acceptance. It replaces shame with righteousness. It replaces trembling fear with holy boldness. It replaces the defeated whimper of a lost soul with the victorious shout of a redeemed heir of God. To step out of sin consciousness is to drop the heavy load of condemnation and pick up the light and easy yoke of Christ. It is to stop seeing yourself as a servant begging for crumbs and begin seeing yourself as a son seated at the table, eating the bread of heaven with confidence, assurance, and joy. It is to rise above the inferiority complex that has told you for years that you are not good enough, that you will never be enough, that you do not have what it takes, that you are always behind, always lacking, always struggling to measure up. When you live in sin consciousness, you compare yourself to everyone and always come up short. You try to earn God's favor with dead works, and you wallow in the mud of spiritual defeat. But when you make the transition into sun consciousness, you realize that your identity is not anchored in your past sins or your present weaknesses, but in His finished work, in His boundless love, in His eternal grace. Sun consciousness breathes life into your spirit and makes you aware of your spiritual DNA. You are born of God, created anew in Christ Jesus, fashioned for good works, designed to reign, empowered to overcome, and commissioned to represent your Heavenly Father with glory and dominion. Stepping into this awareness is not just mental ascent, it is a spiritual awakening, a transformation that rewrites your internal script, that renews your thinking, that energizes your walk, and that compels you to live with your head lifted and your heart steady. Do you remember that old cartoon or magazine sketch? The image of the skinny, timid man, scrawny and embarrassed, watching a stronger, bolder man take what he wished he could have: the girl, the respect, the admiration. Then the skinny man decides enough is enough. He enters the gymnasium, begins to train, day after day, building muscle, building confidence. When he returns, he is no longer the same. He walks into the room, and everyone notices the difference. He speaks, and there is power in his voice. He stands tall, and no one dares push him around. That's a picture of what happens when you train your spirit in God's gymnasium, when you begin to feed on the Word, to fellowship with the Holy Spirit, to confess what God says about you rather than what guilt and fear say about you. When you begin to see yourself through the mirror of God's Word, not through the dirty window of your past mistakes, you become strong-rooted, unshakable, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. His Spirit has become your coach, your teacher, your trainer. He is building you from the inside out. Every time you meditate on His promises, every time you speak His truth over your life, every time you declare, "Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world," you are lifting spiritual weights. You are tearing down the muscles of doubt and rebuilding them with faith. You are tearing down the ligaments of insecurity and reinforcing them with identity in Christ. Slowly but surely, the inferiority complex that kept you from rising is swallowed up in the victory consciousness of the Son of God. You no longer tremble before challenges, but face them with calm assurance. You no longer hide from opportunities, but walk into them with confidence. You no longer avoid conflict, but resolve it with love and wisdom. You begin to realize that you are not alone. You have a master now who is building you up daily. You are no longer under the rule of the cruel master called sin, who beat you down with shame, who whispered fear into your ears, who manipulated your feelings and told you lies. You have a new master now, Jesus Christ, the righteous one. He does not dominate with fear, but leads with love. He builds, He strengthens, He equips, He edifies, He empowers. Walking with Him day by day fills you with an awareness that you are able, not because you have it all together, but because He has already done it all on your behalf. The more you walk with Him, the more you breathe in the courage of His personality, the more you absorb His ability, the more you are filled with the radiance of His righteousness. You say goodbye to the dark nights of guilt and torment. You close the door on the past with its regrets and mistakes. You draw the curtain on your days of spiritual poverty and step into the light of your inheritance. You ascend to the highlands of faith, of confidence, of spiritual dominion. You shout with joy because you are not the same anymore. You are a new creature in Christ Jesus. Old things have passed away. All things have become new. No longer do you wake up tormented by the thought of unpaid bills, because lack no longer controls you. Money no longer intimidates you. It no longer whispers that you are a failure. Now you tell lack where it belongs, under your feet. You face financial challenges with wisdom, faith, and the confidence that your God supplies all your need according to His riches and glory by Christ Jesus. And it's not just money, it's also ability. For years you thought you couldn't. For years you bowed to the idea that you didn't have what it takes. But now you know better. You understand that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. That means you are more than able, more than competent, more than sufficient for every good work and opportunity. How it used to mock you, how it passed you by while you watched others take steps of faith, how you said, "Not me, I'm not ready." But now you walk with a different mindset. You no longer shrink from open doors. You walk through them, knowing that He who opens doors before you has also equipped you to occupy them with grace. You are no longer afraid of responsibilities. You are no longer worried about failing, because your faith is not in yourself, but in the one who works in you both to will and to do of His good pleasure. And worrying, that cruel tyrant, that joy-stealing thief, has lost its grip. Worrying, the child of fear and unbelief, no longer finds a home in your soul. For it is written, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto God. And you've done just that. You've cast your cares on him because he cares for you. You have trusted in the Lord with all your heart and refused to lean on your own understanding. And now his peace guards your heart and mind. Now you walk with clarity, with focus, with inner stillness. The days of inner chaos are over. You are not a victim of mental torment anymore. You are a possessor of the peace that passes understanding. Worry no longer consumes your energy. It no longer keeps you awake at night. It no longer ruins your appetite or raises your blood pressure, because you know God is for you. And if God is for you, who can be against you? No army of enemies can conquer a man who is anchored in God. No wave of bad news can shake a soul that is hidden in the secret place of the Most High. No mountain is too high, no valley too low, no fire too hot for the man or woman who has learned the secret of absolute trust in the Lord. For such a person lives in a different realm, a realm of quiet confidence, a realm where battles are won before they begin, a realm where success is not driven by ambition but by revelation, where strategies are downloaded from heaven and executed on earth with divine efficiency. And so if you are still struggling under the burden of fear, if you are still living beneath your privileges as a son or daughter of the King, it is time to settle that great issue. It is time to go away by yourself. Shut the door, lift your hands, and surrender everything to him. Let go of your need to control. Let go of the voices of shame. Let go of the fear of man. Let go of the lies of the enemy, and embrace the truth of your identity in Christ. Ask the Holy Spirit to flood your heart with light, to open the eyes of your understanding, to reveal to you what is the hope of his calling, what are the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power toward you who believe. Then rise in faith, rise in love, rise in boldness, rise in son consciousness, for the world is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God, and you are one of them, born not of flesh nor of the will of man, but born of God, called for such a time as this, equipped with divine power to shine, to heal, to build, to speak, to lead, to bless, and to conquer. So walk out of that prison of sin consciousness and don't look back. Burn the bridges behind you. Leave the grave clothes in the tomb. Step into the glorious liberty of the sons of God. Step into joy. Step into purpose. Step into peace. Step into strength. Step into wisdom. Step into love. Step into fullness. Step into victory. And never turn back. Can everyone be successful? The fear of failure hangs like a dark cloud over many lives. I know that success belongs to every one of us. We may not be great financiers or great authors, but in our place in life, we may know that we have one. It is necessary that we make the right choice, find out what our talents and abilities are, and have them properly trained and fitted to achieve the desired end. There are a few things that are absolutely imperative if we are to fulfill our part of life's program. There must be a purpose from which we cannot be swerved. There must be the right kind of companionship. The wrong kind of associates are a serious handicap, but can be overcome. Some of us will be handicapped with physical environments that seem almost insuperable, but we can conquer. A young man came to me just recently to talk over his future. He said, "So far I have been a failure." After he opened his heart to me, I saw where his difficulty lay. What he needed was God's help and companionship. I am not talking religion, for I never talk that. But this young man needed the help that only he, the great unseen one, can give. He said, "Will you tell me just how to get in contact with God?" He was genuine. That young man was real. My heart went out to him. There was something so big, so full of the right kind of ambition, that he challenged all that was in me. I said to him, "It is necessary that you take Jesus Christ as your Savior and that you confess him before your family, before the world, as your Lord. He looked up at me and said, "That should not be difficult. No one should be ashamed of him." I said, "The moment you do it, God will give you eternal life. You will become his very own child. Then you will have not only the help of God as your own Father, but you will have the intercession and strength of Christ. Then he will give you the Holy Spirit, who will come into your life and live in you. You will soon find what this will mean. You can do a great deal alone, but when you have received eternal life within your spirit, that will increase your intellectual efficiency 10 to 50%. As your mind is renewed through reading the Word, you will find a freshness in life such as you have never known. You will know that God is in you, that his ability is your ability. You can face any kind of a problem now and know that you are a victor. Your words will have something in them that they never had before. There will be a power in your very presence that men will feel. Always give God his place. Give him a chance to show himself. I don't mean that you are to talk religion to people. You just let God have his place in your life, and you will talk about him. You will know that he is in you. You cannot fail with him in you. Nay, in all these things you are more than a success. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. These mighty scriptures will hold you. God will be the strength of your life. He will make Jesus to be wisdom to you. That new, strange, wonderful, love nature of God will permeate your very being. You will be wanted. Men want genuine men and women around them. You will have the thing the world needs and the world lacks. You will find your place in life easily with this new addition of wisdom, of strength, of ability in you. When others are unsure, you will be steady. When others fall, you will stand. When others hesitate, you will advance. The new nature in you, birthed by the Spirit of God, will begin to shape not only your destiny but the destinies of those who come into contact with you. What seemed impossible before will now become an opportunity for God to show himself strong through you. People will wonder how you do what you do, and you will quietly know the secret. Christ in you, the hope of glory. As you yield more to him, you will discover that your ordinary life has become extraordinary. Your goals will shift from selfish ambition to divine assignment. Your conversations will become channels of light and peace. Your actions will carry weight because they will be charged with divine purpose. Each day will start not with dread but with anticipation, because you know that you do not walk alone. You are yoked together with the Almighty. Your failure will no longer define you, because the one who never fails is now your strength. Your past mistakes will no longer torment you, because the one who forgives has now declared you clean. You will rise above the fear of people, the anxiety of lack, and the prison of comparison. The joy of sonship will replace the heaviness of sin consciousness. You will find yourself doing more with less effort because grace is now your fuel. You will find rest in your soul even in the busiest of seasons, because the Prince of Peace dwells within. You will handle rejection with maturity, because you are already accepted in the Beloved. You will handle success with humility, because you know the source of every open door. You will stop trying to impress men and start expressing God. You will stop striving and start flowing. Your confidence will no longer come from degrees, titles, or connections, but from the unshakable knowing that you are God's beloved, equipped and called for such a time as this. Your mind will be renewed daily. Your words will build and not break. Your presence will comfort and inspire. The same mouth that once confessed defeat will now proclaim dominion. The same hands that once trembled will now heal and help. The same feet that once wandered aimlessly will now march purposefully. You will learn to listen to God's voice above the noise of the world. You will hear his instructions in the quiet moments. You will obey even when it costs you comfort. You will grow, not in fame, but in grace. You will become a pillar of strength to others. Your testimony will carry fire. Your legacy will echo eternity. You will not be manipulated by fear or pressured by trends. You will stand firm, clothed in righteousness, driven by love. You will notice that you are no longer afraid of tomorrow because the one who holds tomorrow holds you. You will understand that success is not just what you accumulate, but what you become. And you will become light. You will become hope. You will become a living letter read by all men, and they will say, "This one has been with Jesus." The old labels will fall away. Failure, weakling, unworthy, forgotten, those names will be erased. In their place will be written victorious, faithful, anointed, child of the King. You will begin to walk with a new gait, not arrogant, but aware that heaven backs you, aware that angels surround you, aware that Christ lives in you. Your journey will become a message, your scars will become stories, your wilderness will become your wisdom. The things that once broke you will now become bridges for others. The nights you cried will be turned into all that fuels others' flames. You will not curse your pain but bless it, because through it you found Him, you found life, you found yourself, and now you can help others do the same. Yes, you can be successful, not just in the world's terms, but in heaven's measure. Success is becoming who God had in mind when He formed you. It is completing your assignment. It is hearing "well done" from the one who matters most, and that kind of success is available to everyone who will dare to believe, who will surrender their small plans for His grand design, who will trade striving for abiding, and who will say, "Not my will, but yours be done." In that surrender, you will discover the secret of true success, and it will carry you through every season, through every challenge, through every storm, because now you know you were never alone, and you were never meant to fail. You were born for this. You were born to win. You were born to shine. And you will, with God in you, you will.